Almighty God, who in the infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of rulers and councils for the welfare of society and the just government of man, we beseech thee to behold with thy abundant favor as thy servant whom thou hast been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in the Commonwealth of Dominica. Let thy blessing descend upon us here in this Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in thy presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote thy honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests thou hast committed to our charge, all which we ask in the name and for the sake of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. I recognize the Honorable Minister. My eyes fell on him first. So, Honorable Roy, you may proceed. Senator Henderson, you'll go after. Yes, you'll go after. So proceed, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me say morning to my colleagues in the House. Mr. Speaker, I stand to lend support to the budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 as presented by the Minister for Finance. And like my colleagues, I would like to commend him for his excellent delivery. And most importantly, the focus he placed on the agriculture sector. Mr. Speaker, this year's budget focused heavily on the productive sector. It includes tourism as well, which shows that the government is determined to enhance economic growth while creating sustainable jobs, Mr. Speaker. But before I continue, please permit me to extend warm greetings to the wonderful people of the Cottage constituency. That's from Lago, Dale Housing, Gotha, Grange, Cotton Hill, Tatan, Jillit, Savannah, Monalwy, Tukari, Cottage, Kukuyi, Clifton, Yard, and Capuchin. Yes, very big. Very, very loving people. And I thank them for the support, Mr. Speaker. In Lago, we have various sub-hamlets in Lago, which includes Dale Housing, Grange, Gotha, Cotton Hill. You got it before? Wonderful. Mr. Speaker, in last year's budget debate, I attempted to paint a picture as to how the ministry and government by extension is going to achieve our 700 million by 2030. I think I did well, and most persons got the flow. But today, I'm going to give a progress report where we are and what we plan to do in meeting our targets. But before I even do that, Mr. Speaker, I want to place the entire sector into context. I would like to remind the Honorable House of Hurricane Maria in 2017 and the devastation it did to the agricultural sector. We were at ground zero. And I think it is worth repeating, Mr. Speaker, because many times you listen to discourse on the sector, people fail to realize that in 2017, we had ground zero and we had food security issues. Just to remind them, the damage that was caused by Hurricane Maria, we lost 80 to 100% of our root crops, vegetables, bananas, and plantains, and 90% of tree crops. The total damage and losses was estimated at $576.8 million. That was just after recovering from Tropical Storm America, Mr. Speaker. So I'm saying all that to say, Mr. Speaker, when we are discussing the performance of the sector, it must be in a Maria context, Mr. Speaker. Let's don't forget that. But while I'm on my feet, Mr. Speaker, let me just send best wishes to my colleagues in Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Jamaica, and Barbados, who are now spearheading the recovery of the sectors. And just for information, they suffered quite a bit of damage as well. In St. Vincent, they suffered losses of 25.9 million US dollars, that the agricultural sector on its own. In Jamaica, they suffered losses of $29.9 million. St. Lucia, 2.6 million. Barbados, mainly to the fishery sector, $850,000, that's US. In Grenada, $100 million, which is totaling to 159.3 million US. When we convert to EC, 25.4 million EC. But remember, Dominica alone was $576 million. So when my good friend from Marigot, the member from Marigot, says that it's not climate change that set back the economy and its growth and development, I wonder in what planet is living, Mr. Speaker. Because it is clear that the food security issues we are facing is not because of bad agricultural policies, but indeed is because of the impacts of climate change, Mr. Speaker. So I want to join my voice. I want to add with the voice of the Prime Minister and the President to call for climate justice for small island developing states like us, Mr. Speaker. So the developing countries that are the greater contributors to greenhouse gases should now think of developing facilities targeted specifically to the agri sector so that we can make sure that we have food secured, Mr. Speaker. The conversation started last year in Dubai at COP 28, where we had the Emirates Declaration. I'm looking forward to COP 29, where we'll continue to discuss. But what we're saying is that we are calling for a special facility targeting agriculture. Not only because of we're losing and have damages, but we have that facility might be targeting also how we adapting to the impact of climate change. It's difficult, Mr. Speaker, for farmers now to grow open field vegetables without irrigation or protective agriculture. Who's going to foot that bill? Not because of us causing it. They are the ones who are emitting the greenhouse gases. And we are now experiencing longer droughts, wetter seasons, that is causing the proliferation of pests and diseases. And now we have to find ourselves now looking for resources now to provide to our farmers to adapt to that. It is not fair. So I'm just adding my vote to climate justice, and we'll continue that discuss at COP 29, Minister for Environment. You with me on that? Wonderful. But Mr. Speaker, in Dominica, we are very resilient people. We have a resilient crop, and we have resilient farmers. So we're able to bounce back quickly from Hurricane Maria. Many countries don't have that level of resilience like us. So I'm just going to give you some figures, because when people are saying that the sector is not growing, nothing is happening in agriculture, the figure says differently. So permit me, Mr. Speaker, in 2022, at the end of 2022, the contribution to GDP was 16.5. But it came up from 2018, where it was 10.6. In 2019, it was 11.6. In 2020, 14.7. And in 2021, it was 16.5. So we're seeing the trend, where we're seeing the growth and contribution of agriculture to GDP. So I can't really comprehend when I understand people keep saying that there's no growth in the sector, nothing is happening, the sector is dead, but the figure says otherwise. Since Hurricane Maria, Mr. Speaker, we are once again self-sufficient in eggs. I mean, last Christmas, maybe for the past 10 years we've been importing, we had not to import not 1 kilo of egg last Christmas, because our farmers are producing. And they are not doing it on their own. This is because of support from the Ministry of Agriculture and the government, Mr. Speaker. We have also regained market share in the north, on the islands north of Dominica,
The Minister of Trade can speak to that. In St. Martin, in St. Kitts, in Total, in Anguilla, we are back on the market, and they're asking for food. You know, so, Mr. Speaker, that did not really happen overnight or just like that. It's because of serious investment we've been making in the sector. And just to be clear on that, because many times we say we invest, people want us to show figures. But I'm a figures person, so I have plenty of figures for you today. When we look at the recurrent and capital expenditure, from 2018, we invested $33.8 million in the sector. From 2018 to the 19 fiscal year, it was $12.9 million. From 2019 to 2020 fiscal year, it was $17.4 million. 2020, 2021 fiscal year, it was $24.4 million. 2021 to 2022, it was $35.2 million. 2022 to 2023, it was $24.1 million. And last fiscal year, it was $21.8 million. A total of $169.8 million for the past 5 years, Mr. Speaker. Post-Hurricane Maria. That's investment in the agricultural sector. So I can't understand you saying the government is not putting money in agriculture. I don't know what time they live in, but my figure says differently. And if you want to unpack these numbers, you can make a reference to page 49 of the Economic and Social Review. You'll see it is unpacked for 2019 and 2020. So you'll see the different heads where the money was spent. Okay? So that's the context, Mr. Speaker. So I'm going to provide some updates as where we are in meeting our 700 by 2030 goal, Mr. Speaker. Post-Hurricane Maria, we supported 4,563 farmers with input packages consisting of fertilizer, agrochemicals, tools, equipment, and planting material valued at $18 million. That just we just give that to farmers to just go back in the land and plant. And we saw a resurgence of agriculture on over 4,000 acres of land, Mr. Speaker. The data is there to show. Okay? Mr. Speaker, since Hurricane Maria, we really did not implement a structured tree-crop replanting program. So we've put in system in place to do that. So as we currently, as I'm speaking to you, we have 100,000 seedlings rootstock of citrus at the Portsmouth Agri Station getting ready for distribution next year, Mr. Speaker. 100,000, that's a record. The most the ministry would have ever done before was 5,000. 100,000 citrus rootstock currently being ready, getting prepared for distribution next year, Mr. Speaker. That's citrus only. And as the largest propagation ever in CARICOM, the closest was 25,000 in Jamaica. I have records to show that. But how we not doing anything now? And while I'm on that, Mr. Speaker, I really want to commend my friend and colleague, Jerry Cabell, at the 1 Mile Agri Station. When many people thought my targets were ambitious, he stood by me and he got the job done. So that's the kind of spirit you want in the ministry. Okay, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to comment now. For cocoa, my good friend, my good friend there. Yeah, Paris. I know they do a lot of cocoa.
Senator.
Senator Paris, yes. We have supported the rehabilitation and establishment of 317 acres of cocoa among 226 farmers, Mr. Speaker. That's what it did from 2020 to 2024. 317 acres. We understand that the demand for cocoa is very high. Dexia is importing from Grenada, basically to supply the persons who are doing cocoa sticks and other byproducts of cocoa. So we are going to really bounce back with cocoa production so that we can be self-sufficient. So in 3-4 years, Mr. Speaker, we'll have no need to be importing cocoa beans from anywhere. We'll be self-sufficient in cocoa production. And that, Mr. Speaker, we're taking serious because the demand for cocoa beans very, very high. Other tree crops like avocado, we are currently propagating about 18,000 trees of avocado. Normally we would do 5,000, but we have some targets at the ministry. They said we are doing a structured replanting program, so we have to make planting materials available to the farmers. And for mangoes, we are doing about 12,000 as we speak. But the one I've dear to my heart, Mr. Speaker, is banana and plantains. Yes, because the demand for these two commodities are very high. We've imported 15,000 tissue culture planting plants, and we have distributed everything, Mr. Speaker, to farmers across the island, 15,000. As I'm speaking to you, we have 17,000 tissue culture banana planting material at the agri station currently being hardened for distribution in next week. And by October this year, we'll be distributing an additional 30,000 tissue culture banana planting material to farmers, totaling to 45,000 banana tissue culture planting material, Mr. Speaker. So we are revamping the banana and planting subsector because the demand is huge and we're taking this very seriously. Just for the planting material only, we spent about 76,000 EC to procure the planting material. But I'll give you some good news later because we have no need to import tissue culture planting material going forward. But we'll speak to that, Mr. Speaker. In addition to that, we did not just provide the planting material, but we've recently signed a contract of $1.1 million to provide the farmers with fertilizer, chemicals, and tools to ensure that the planting materials we give them are taken care of, Mr. Speaker. So it's not doing things vice versa. It's a plant program. Look your planting material, we give you fertilizers, chemical tools, and training to go with it to get it right, Mr. Speaker. That's how we do things, organized. We're not vice versa. Mr. Speaker, for white potatoes, this year we imported over 2,000 bags. We had a fair season. I must confess, we received the planting material a bit late. So we got a dry spell, which affected the production. So we're on average this year. But last season. But this upcoming season, we are looking to import it much earlier so we can catch the October, November planting season. So we can have a higher yield next season. But that's a very important crop, which we are putting focus on because it's one of our import substitution crops under that program that we are doing. So that we're going to place emphasis on. In addition, Mr. Speaker, we distributed over 400,000 seedlings, vegetable seedlings to farmers around the island. And that's from the Chinese mission at the Portsmouth Agricultural Station. That was in an effort to promote the backyard garden and, of course, to promote the fight against NCDs, Mr. Speaker. So that's a planned program we do, collaborating with the Ministry of Health to make sure that every home, household can have a tomato, a lettuce, or cabbage plant in the backyard. And we provided that planting material free of charge. But the most exciting part, Mr. Speaker, is livestock. Never in the history of agriculture we've seen so much investment in livestock production and focus on livestock production. So again, we provided over 170 farmers with building materials and monies for labor to construct resilient pens for chicken and pigs across the island. That cost the government $7.5 million, Mr. Speaker. Just so, tell me when the Caribbean would go and the government giving you money to build the pen, they're giving you the material, and if it'll be good, you even getting the big chicken and the pork to put inside. If it'll be good, where else you can find that? And you want to tell me we're saying that nothing is being done in the agricultural sector? I mean, that's unbelievable. $7.5 million worth of material and monies to do that. We also focus on apiculture. We supported 15 apiarists with 133 structures for bees, for beekeeping, and we constructed over 12 pig structures that can accommodate 1,000 pigs. We did the same for poultry, where we did over 20 pens that can accommodate over 17,000 birds. We did for rabbits, we did for goat and sheep, and we also provided farmers that are doing small ruminants with electric fencing wire. Were you ever heard in Dominica? Electric fencing wire. So when they pad up, put their back through on the wire, anything come there, shocking that, and the dogs was running. So the issue we had with dogs eating good, we had under control. Yes. So we've introduced that. Bringing technology into the whole agricultural sector. Okay? And powered by solar too, eh? Yes. Yeah. Honorable Henderson would like to hear that. Yeah. Okay? But sometime in January, Mr. Speaker, you'd have heard farmers complaining about a shortage of feed, animal feed. They had me on a cartoon with a red suit running and all kind of animals running behind me because they thought it was a government issue. But that was a private sector issue because government don't import feed. They had some sea swells and the boat could not dock, so the containers could not land, so they were redirected to other ports. So it took some time, and the shelf life for animal feed, is about 30 days maximum, so it can't be too long. So the importers bring every week. So we had a little break in that. And but government saw it as our business though, although it's our responsibility. But we invested over $135,000 emergency funding to bring in feed from Guadeloupe to supply to the farmers who were struggling with a lack of feed. I mean, that's a caring government. Who else would do that? We stepped in matter of 3 days. A badge land and high quality feed, even better than what is imported from the suppliers. I hear when them chickens start to leave, my brother, it was threefold when come for production. And the farmers keep asking for that brand, but we promise that we'll work with Dexter to see what we can do to bring a shipment again. High quality feed. So we stepped in to cushion that problem, and we were happy to do so. We also worked, Mr. Speaker, with some small ruminants farmers, around 34 of them, who brought in semen to do artificial insemination. That was a wonderful idea. Our technicians worked with them. We stored the straws at the livestock station in Londonderry. And we actually went out to do the AI on small ruminants, and we were able to impregnate about 18 small ruminants. And they're doing good. Artificial insemination. That's when you take the semen, you put in a syringe, the technician goes through the part, I don't want to talk there, and you send in, and then you have the semen. But what's important though, with that technology, you can determine what trait you want. So if you want a pig that have nice muscle, straight back, high yielding, you can bring in the semen tailored for that. So that's the importance of that. Hybrid, and you can get traits like disease resistance, and all that. So it's a very important stuff that you don't have to depend on your local races to cross, but you can bring in hybrids and cross and get the desired trait. So that's the way we're going. Okay, and we are not stopping there. What we did, seeing that our lab is not functional, we have our hydrogen gas, everything working well. We have already procured additional straws. So soon, Mr. Speaker, we'll be importing 100 straws of the Boer semen. That's a type of goat, I would say. 100 straws of the Nubian. We're also going to give support to the pig farmers. We have 75 straws of the large white. The same for Langrese and same for Dura. So we're getting real pure breed freedom straws and the semen, so we can basically determine what type of breed we want. So we can basically decide if we want pork for meat, for fattening, we can bring in breeds for that. If we want goat for milk, we can bring in semen to get us that. So there's high science operation happening there. No longer we have to wait for the natural vibes. We can do it by insemination. We also did some work on our infrastructure throughout the last fiscal year. We were able to construct 3 hardening facilities at 1 mile.
in support of our lab, which I'll speak to. And the most exciting part for me, Mr. Speaker, is that we commissioned our tissue culture lab $11.4 million funded by the People's Republic of China. So we are bringing science into that thing. And that lab will produce over 500,000 seedlings per year. 100,000 in every cycle, 5 cycles a year. And the good part, we ensured that we have a seed storage facility where we can create a seed bank to make sure if hurricane struck, we have all our purebred seeds stored in a safe place. And it's big enough to accommodate the UCS. No, they were struck by burial. I met with the ministers, and they now want to make our seed bank an OECS hub to store seeds in times of, so we can get proper use of seeds if we are struck by a disaster, Mr. Speaker. So that's the kind of thinking we have and things we are doing. So it's not just plant a tree and say you don't like country. You have to bring in science in it. And now we are bringing the resilience component in it. So if you're struck, we no longer have to import seeds. We'll have it secured right here in Dominic, Mr. Speaker. We have already hired the manager for the lab, and soon we'll be interviewing for the other positions, which is the germplasm technician, the laboratory technician, the assistant lab technician, and a field technician, Mr. Speaker. So once our structures are in place, we'll see full operation, but as we speak, we are having operations going, and we have started working on producing tissue culture plantings as I'm speaking to you, Mr. Speaker. So you can say that we are operationalized. We are in high speed, okay? But let's expand, Mr. Speaker. In that lab, you can produce what you want. So if you want a plant that is tolerant to a particular disease, you can bring in a desert trait and tailor it to that. You want a plant that is high yielding, you can do that. And you can have, under these conditions that are being produced, you'll get disease-free planting material. So we're starting fresh. So we are not going to promote that desuckering and replanting of plantains and bananas anymore. Because once you have black sigatoka and yellow yellow sigatoka, it passes through the baby plant. So we need to be providing farmers with clean planting material every time going forward. So we'll have a clean slate of plants in the open field, and of course, it will enhance for production and productivity on farm, Mr. Speaker. We did some work at the Central Livestock Farm. That's where we keep our animal germplasms and our breeds and everything. So we had to do some restructuring there. So we built a new bull pen and sheep and goat facility, so we can continue breeding to provide high quality breeding stocks to farmers. We did some work in Salisbury, though, Mr. Speaker. Salisbury, one of my favorite places on the West Coast. We are about 90% completed with the irrigation system, which will provide reliable water to 62 farmers on the Grand Savannah, Mr. Speaker. Before, what we had was load shedding of water. When the east on, the west off. When the north on, the south off. And farmers' crops were suffering. What we intervened? We provided monies, and now Mr. Bernard Nation, who's the contractor, I met him yesterday, is now doing the final leg of it. So in a matter of 2 weeks, that system will be commissioned. And we did not stop there, Mr. Speaker. In addition to that, on the WUSC, which is headed by my good friend, Dr. Nadia Paquette, who is my PS wife, by the way, they supported about 20 farmers with irrigation supplies costing $63,000. And I'm still in Salisbury, $63,000, so that and that smart initiatives that they implemented to provide farmers with the tanks, the drip lines, and the other amenities. But importantly, Dr. Anderson, we also provided solar irrigation timers as well. Right. Yes, so they can stay at their home, they can put on the irrigation, they can go Portsmouth Market, and the sun pouring out, it can go for 12 o'clock, it can come back on 6 o'clock, just like that. Just so.
So that the kind of technology we introducing in farming now, right there on the Grand Sama. So, so that is like a nice hub we put in there for them, and farmers will come and learn, and that technology will disseminate around the island. So other farmers can learn from that. Feeder roads, Mr. Speaker. I know the member for Salisbury is working about feeder roads. We have promised to do the one. Is Goa Riviera, Goa Avenue, call it? Right. I promised to do that one for last fiscal year. Yes. But we had to, they were competing priorities. We had the sudden collapse of the highway in Salisbury again. So we had to choose for the parallel. Either we do the highway or we do little bridge for the feeder road. And as the Minister of Works said last night, the highway cost over $4 million. But I still did not leave the feeder road abandoned. I sent machine there over 3 times during the fiscal year to maintain, if rainfall, to unblock and to dredge. But I'm promising this fiscal year we'll do some work there. But in addition to that, we did work around the island. I see not only living, Mopo Makato get a lot of attention, Kalibishi, Woodford Hill, Cuba, Kahum, Paybush. We did some work last fiscal year. And as we promised, every year we'll add on some names in the budget which we'll pay attention to, and we'll take them by phases and by numbers until eventually we get everything done. Because cement, sand, stone, fiber mesh, and BRC expensive. Engineer Paris can tell that. And we try our best to see how we can provide that to the farmers. School agriculture, Mr. Speaker, we launched a school agriculture competition. Honorable Joseph will speak more to that. But just to say, we supported 13 primary schools, and we provided over 19,000 seedlings to the school, Mr. Speaker. But I'll leave that for Honorable Joseph, which is right down our alley. I'm sure we'll speak to that a bit later. Youth in agriculture. That's my baby too, but I'll just stay a bit on it because Joseph will speak to more later. We are going to have next week, from the 7th to the 9th of August, that's from next Wednesday, the first OECS Youth in Agriculture Symposium in Dominica, where over 30 persons, young persons, farmers, entrepreneurs, will descend in Dominica, or on Dominica rather, where they will have talks, we'll have workshops, we'll have an expo right here in the Commonwealth, Mr. Speaker. And that was initiated by Dominica. That's why we are hosting the first ever OECS Youth in Agriculture workshops. Over 30 youth from Dominica will participate, so we have around 18 youth from the region, plus technicians and officials, and we have over 30 young persons registered already from Dominica to be part of that, where we're seeking to, share information and get them to love a skill and a sector that is important for food security, Mr. Speaker. Agriculture mechanization, we did some work there. We procured some rotovators and power tillers before the potato planting season last year. It is not adequate. We still suffered because of lack of machinery, I must confess. But we have good news, Mr. Speaker. We have over 20 pieces of machines coming down from China, and the intention is to position them in every agricultural region so farmers can have full access to rotovators, tillers, and tractors. So God willing, this planting season will not experience that shortage of machines. So that's our plan. Over 25 pieces of tractors, rotovators, power tillers will be on island soon, and we are going to make them fully available to farmers so that they can prepare the land for planting season, not for white potatoes, but for vegetables and other crops that they grow, pineapples, etc. Extension mobility. I like to term it that way. I don't say transport for extension. It's extension mobility. That's what we call it at the ministry. We were able to purchase 3 brand new vehicles. The Public Farmer God is upset about it, but I forgive him for being vexed that I gave the excellent officer in Marigold Transport to go on his own farm at Craig. I really can understand that. Okay? We got 2 pickups and a Jimny. We would have preferred if we had 4 Jimnys instead. Review so far, the officer said they have preferred the Jimnys because it can go further inland and smaller roads and the terrain we have. But anyhow, we satisfied with what we got.
over $400,000 was spent to provide vehicles for extension officers to meet the farmers because we had complaints. 2 complaints I got when I was moved to the ministry. The guys told me they don't have transport and they're not appointing. That's 2 complaints when I landed. For the past time I'm there, Mr. Speaker, we've appointed 25 extension officers. 25. At different levels, from AO3 to AO2 to AO1s. And now recently, we're able to provide them with the vehicles so that they can be comfortable and complain less and get to the farmer because that's what they've been paid for, to go out and meet the farmers. So we're trying our best as a government to really respond to the needs so the farmers can be better served, Mr. Speaker. So that's our mission. But another nice one, Mr. Speaker, is the procurement facility we established at the ministry, which is being, not at the ministry, but at Dexia, where we provided Dexia with 5 million EC to just buy food. Dexia buying so much food now, they're even buying oil. You understand? That's how the thing working. You know, and what we saw is that the farmers are encouraged now, and farmers are planting and they're producing. And it's evident because of the plantains we have on island now, and that farmers are so happy, they're making money. They come to Dexia, they deliver, them fellas grade that, in 3 days, they get next check, bang, in 2 days, in 2 days, they're being paid. Before, it had a longer wait, and they were frustrated, and they got a little, disgruntled, and fellas pulled back. But now fellas beating wrist by Dexia now, because things are good, money flowing, farmers are happy, Mr. Speaker, because of this procurement facility. Yeah, okay? So, Mr. Speaker, for this fiscal year, we allocated about $6.1 million. We have 5.2 for capital and 9 million for recurring. But we have plans for that money. So if you permit me, Mr. Speaker, let me outline some of our plans for this fiscal year. We are going to continue to push banana and plantains, because as I said that we are going to revamp the banana and plantain subsector. We have targets to
25 more minutes, 2-5.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, it's fine. We have targets, Mr. Speaker, to meet, and we're going to at least produce about 3 acres of banana and plantains this coming season. In addition to that, we'll strengthen our black sector management. We have some issues there. Although the farmers are willing and they're doing the stuff, but the black sector is really taking a hold. So we're going to really look at that, the whole management, where we provide the farmers with the equipment and the oil and the fungicides, empower them to do their own management, Mr. Speaker. For root crops, we are going to target the establishment of over 500 acres of root crops. This season, we're looking at yams, dashing, sweet potato, tiny ginger, and our 5Cs program, Mr. Speaker. Citrus, coconut, coffee, cocoa, but there was a silent C, Mr. Speaker. The last C was silent, so I could not say no way I went in no meeting. All I said in 5 Cs, but I was giving them 4 Cs. So now the last C now, Dr. McIntyre clearly articulated the last C in this budget. If you permit me, I'll quote. Mr. Speaker, the government of Dominica is committed to the development of a comprehensive legislation that allows for safe access to cannabis products for medical and therapeutic use while creating economic contributions, opportunities for growers and processors of the cannabis plant. So now I can say the 5C, the last C, cannabis. I mean, that is so progressive, Mr. Speaker, because the cannabis industry, the medicinal cannabis industry, no, the last time I checked, it was $12.6 billion. And it's projected by 2032, it will be 40.8 billion US dollars. So we need some of that. We need to be part of that, Mr. Speaker. Okay? And as a ministry, we're seeing that it will contribute to our target of this 700 million by 2030. So is that fifth C I could not say no. I can say, yeah, we'll pass by that time, but that, I'm so happy for that. And we'll work with the his chambers and the authority that PM spoke about, that'll be established to ensure that that 5C is properly taken care of, Mr. Speaker. For irrigation, we have and will support over 100 farmers with irrigation micro systems for the farm, powered by solar as well, and some ram pumps. That will cost us over $1 million, Mr. Speaker, just to do that. We're also going to invest in protective agriculture, support about 73 farmers. That'll cost us about $2.1 million as well. And we must do that because, as I mentioned earlier, the impact of climate change. No longer farmers can plant open field. So we are not just doing things for show. We're doing things because we need to do it. So farmers need greenhouses, they need hydroponic systems, and they need irrigation because of the brutal drought periods that we are getting and the heavy rains that sometimes will shelter the protect our crops. So we must and we are going to invest $2.1 million in that in this fiscal year to support our farmers. We'll construct a citrus certification facility at Londonderry, Honorable Grant, which will be able to produce 50,000 seedlings. You know the issues we have with Chistesia and citrus greening disease. So we need to have that facility to ensure that when we produce citrus seedling material, that they're under the proper and best condition. And also, we'll expand the station at Woodfordale so we can do more cocoa and avocados to farmers. But an exciting part I know the member for Roseau would like is we are going to do an agro park. Not in Roseau, but in Passport. But we are going to do, I know know field of technology, hydroponics. Yeah, that's it, finally. Where we'll have hydroponic systems and aquaculture ponds on one site. Where we'll have the technology, everything being automative, and have young persons come in to train. But of course, we'll do it in a public-private partnership model where we can also provide and produce this stuff commercially because there are some targets and markets that we have to meet, particularly for vegetables. So that's what we're going to do in Picard. We have already provided specs and we're going to tender out for the hydroponics. And under the phase 9 of the Chinese Techno Mission, we'll be getting agriculture set up. For that, they already visited, done the service, did their thing, and God willing, everything equal, we'll see that agro park in Portsmouth in this fiscal year. For livestock, Mr. Speaker, we'll continue to invest in livestock because we want to achieve protein security by 2030, and we have some targets. So we are looking to target to reduce the importation of meat by 30% by 2028 and by 65% by 2030. And because we are going to place emphasis particularly on chicken and pork. So even within the subsectors, we are going to have targets as well. So we are going to target 20 commercial broiler producers, each of them rearing about 5,000 birds, and that will give us a yield of about 1,000 birds slaughtered every week. So we're going to work towards that. We are going to do a similar thing for pigs. We're going to target around 50 commercial pig farmers with minimum 6 sows each, and that will yield over 945,000 pounds of meat per year, so that we can aggressively reduce on importation of meat. Again, helping us to hit our targets by 2030. And investing in the poultry and the pork is not alone. We have signed a contract for $6.4 million abattoir. So when we produce, we can process. Okay? As I'm speaking to you, work is ongoing. They are doing demolition works, and we'll see actual construction to commence pretty soon. And the abattoir will be able to process 4,000 birds per day. Per day. 4,000 birds per day, and about 50 pigs per day. Okay, so that will include the perimeter fencing. We'll do a new water system, a new production line for the chicken, and incinerator, backup generator, and the entire works, Mr. Speaker. Added to that again, Mr. Speaker, you see we're looking at the whole value chain. the whole production system. We are going to invest in an animal feed plant, Mr. Speaker. We are mindful that about the price or the cost for animal feed has increased about 59.9% over the past 3 years. So on average, a bag of animal feed is about $68. And the cost of producing animals, 70% of that cost is just buying feed. So we had to intervene long term. We had money, Mr. Speaker, to buy some feed for short term. We said no. Let's use that money instead and build a plant where we can produce feed and reduce the cost of feed by around 30 to 50%. That's what we're doing, Mr. Speaker. And that, as I speak, is in process. The procurement process started, and we're going to call for tenders for that plant very soon. It's in 2 parts. We do the machinery separately, and then we do the construction of the actual structure to host the machinery very soon. And that must be completed by me next year because it's on the particular project. So we are well on our way, Mr. Speaker. And that too, we will promote that to have it been managed under a public-private partnership so that it can be managed and sustained credibly. Mr. Speaker, the member for Marigot spoke about hatchery in his presentation. I must commend him on that because once you have persons investing, that means the conditions are conducive for investment. So I mean, government are doing the right thing, putting the right systems in place, providing the right incentives for persons to invest. But in addition to that, we are going to support the hatchery operators with about $100,000 this fiscal year to upgrade the facility because there's a need to provide the chicks locally because as we speak, we're importing from Barbados and sometimes you miss a flight, you miss something, and the farmers suffer. So we're promoting the hatchery development on island as we speak. So we are going to provide them $100,000 to support them in buying modern equipment to do that. Mr. Speaker, so apiculture, Mr. Speaker, the reign of bees, that we see is a little subsector that needs some attention, and we're going to provide some resources this fiscal year where 15 farmers will be supported, and we'll assist them with about 100 hives so we can expand production. We've met with them a few months back, and we have promised that, and look now, we are in plans now to deliver, Mr. Speaker, and we are able to do that. I'm very happy for that. Having said all that, Mr. Speaker, we understand that we need a proper machinery to really monitor and deliver that. So we are going to reform how we do our extension services. We are going to take a commodity approach where every team leader, a senior officer, will be given a commodity to focus on. So if the Implement Secretary wants information on cocoa and coffee, he knows who to call. Right. And that person will be responsible for establishment, planting material requirements, the technical packaging, the forecasting of yields. It will be a one-stop shop. So that one person, senior officer, will liaise with all the other regions and collate and provide. And of course, fundamentally, they'll be responsible for expanding that subsector. So that's the approach. So just quickly, some of the subsectors that we have, yams, dashing, and tanya, we'll have one person responsible for that. Then we have cassava, ginger, and turmeric, pineapples and passion fruit, white potatoes and sweet potatoes. We have vegetables and greenhouse production and hydroponics, coffee and cocoa, citrus coconut. We have avocado and other tree crops, floriculture by itself, apiculture by itself, poultry by itself, pig production by itself, and small ruminants, Mr. Speaker. For feeder roads, Mr. Speaker, if you look at page 22 on the budget address, we'll see that we are going to do some works on feeder road this fiscal year. We have the Pitted Makuchri in Salisbury. We have the Captain Bruce in Marigot. Yes? You want me to repeat it? We have Pitted Makuchri in Salisbury. We have Captain Bruce in Marigot. We have Niba Atley in Layu, Station Road in Laplain, Dalfossey in Granby. And we are going to focus on this, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that the high yielding areas are taken care of and farmers can go to their plants, to their farms freely, Mr. Speaker. And these roads that were not recommended by us, is the frontline officers who travel these roads every day, who recommend the list, and we went with it. So it's not like, well, you're going to say we picking and choosing. Okay? So Captain Bruce coming soon, my brother. Yeah, don't be afraid. But with all, Mr. Speaker, we have to market what we grow. Because all these lovely things I said there, we have to sell the produce. So we've been looking very closely with Dexia in doing so. I've spoken about the procurement facility already. In addition to that, we'll be supporting the hucksters with over $540,000 to buy packaging material. Because we know the cost of boxes are very expensive. So in order for us to make them more competitive, we are going to support them so they can be more competitive on export the produce on the market. We'll be also providing next year with over $400,000 to buy equipment and to establish the marketing depots in different islands in the region like Barbados and Antigua and Tortola so that they can ship and distribute. So these are the systems we're putting in place for us to sell what we grow. And the demands are there. Just in Antigua, we have demands of over 2,000 boxes of plantains alone. In Barbados, we have a weekly request of 2,000 boxes of bananas alone. So it's not just planting. We are taking a market-led approach. Reason why we're investing in particular commodities, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my colleagues at the ministry, Honorable Defoe, Honorable Joseph, and our partners, of course, the Chinese Technical Mission, our Cuban friends, very helpful, ICA, FAO, WUSP, CARDI, Dexia, and the World Bank for the support over the years. And of course, my PS Anselm hit the road running. He came in, he tied his waist, and he hit that road running, my brother. So I have great support from Anselm, and I really want to thank him for that. And yeah, and we're working well together. Thank you for that. Our staff at the PIU, at the World Bank Project, Mr. Speaker, and all the staff at the ministry, the director, Mr. Stevenson, and all the frontline officers, and most importantly, our farmers who remain resilient and stick to the farm and ensuring that we can maintain food security in Dominica, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, but I must link all what I said to the airport as well. Because we need to get the stuff out, and sometime in the same day as well. So taking all what I said to the next level, the airport will facilitate moving the produce, and it can open the country now to new markets in Europe, in the US, where we can sell weekly and daily as well. So I'm thankful for that, Mr. Speaker. Last year I made an analogy with Publix. I know Dr. Ennis is waiting for that one, but I'll use flowers instead. Imagine you in Newfoundland, and you're harvesting 200 boxes of anthuriums. I need to get to a hotel in Miami by the evening. You can go Newfoundland 4 o'clock, cut the anthuriums, clean it, treat it, drive to Wesley, put it on Amerijet, and by 4 p.m. eat in Florida. Bam! Just like that. Amazon Prime. And your money is in your account one time. That is what we are doing, Speaker. And I said, in St. Vincent, when they opened the new airport, the export of agricultural produce increased 5-fold. We have the models there, we have the examples here. So the farmers need to take ownership of the airport as well. It's not just for bed nights and for tourists, it's for the sector as well. And we know that. Reason why we are putting the system in place at the ministry to make sure our production levels are up, our farmers are mobilized, the technology is there, so we can respond to the market when the airport is ready for us, Mr. Speaker. That's what we are doing. I'm not speaking about the hotels. On page 18 of the budget, spoke about 5 new hotels. More tourists, more food will sell. More carrot, more cabbage, more lettuce, more tomato will sell. So that's how we connect with tourism. The cruise spot, you have more tourists descending in Dominica. When you want my boy want fig, she want lettuce, she want tanya. It will sell. So farmers will take care of that. The cable car will have the same impact. But of course, my baby, the marina, right in my constituency, the marina. Okay. Right in the Kote constituency. $203 million investment in the marina. Being able to birth 100 yachts at a time. Providing 300 jobs in construction and 150 permanent jobs upon completion. It cannot get better than that, Mr. Speaker. Right then, Kote. I love this. Okay? So I'll be working closely with Minister of Tourism, of course, during construction, so that we need to get ready. Our young persons need to get trained for the marina because there are some specialized areas that they need to be trained in. The member for Postmark mentioned a few when she presented, and working closely to ensure that they are retooled and tooled to take advantage of the marina. Mr. Speaker, as I'm winding down things, I'll stay away from that one. While I'm winding up the speaker, I cannot live without touching the cottage constituency. My home place, bred, I was born there, brought up there. I love lovely people, and I'm trying my best to see how I can assist them. So we made a few, we had a few actions been during the last fiscal year, or since I came in. I'll try to mention quickly. In tourism, Mr. Speaker, we were able to complete the restaurant at Kana. I must thank the Minister of Tourism for assisting me in doing that. It started in fiscal year 2021, no, 2021. We had a whole lot of contractual issues, got it sorted, we got the monies, and everything nice and crisp by up. We're good to go. So now, yes, is to get the furniture and the appliances so we can open and set up, Mr. Speaker. I'm very happy for that. Now we are doing a management plan for the Cabris National Park. Thanks to Minister of the Environment for that, where we will have recommendations going forward as to what is being properly managed and how we are going to do some additional restoration of Cabris, because a lot of ruins still that need some restoration, so we can open the offerings and make Fort Shirley, a better place, so we can maximize, the opportunities that can be existing right at Fort Shirley. Our jetty at Tukari, we are doing some repairs now because it was battered by burial and some systems before. And thanks to the tourism again and my friend Forestry, the Minister of Forestry, providing me with materials to do that. And of course, the guy from Pace, Cobra and his team, is doing it basically free of charge. Just provide some stipend to them. But I'm so grateful for their assistance doing that. And as you know, we have the poker run on the 18th. So we need to get the jetty going for that. And we're doing well in meeting that target, Mr. Speaker. In health, Mr. Speaker, we were able to complete our new health center. I'm just waiting on word from the Ministry of Health as to when we'll open. I'm understood that they're waiting for some furniture and appliances and equipment to do that. And our constituents are eager to have it open, so I hope that we can get that support pretty soon. In
5 more minutes. 5 more minutes.
I'm good on time. Thank you. I'm good, yeah. On agriculture, we were able to maintain all our feeder routes during that period. We provided support to most of the farmers with greenhouse plastics, white potato seedlings, and we were able to construct a feeder road in Clifton costing over $600,000, Mr. Speaker. I would thank the PM and the NO office, for that investment right there. In education, we've adopted the school feeding program both in Seven Pie and Clifton Primary School, and of course, we continue to provide the students with the school books and uniforms, like all of the constituency doing. In the blue economy, we have introduced a CMOS farming group in Tukari, where we're exploiting that mariculture concept, and the guys are doing well, and so we're growing the CMOS in Tukari Bay, and we're looking for great success from that particular investment. For the digital economy, we have established and opened 2 innovation hubs, one in Capuchin, one in Clifton. They are not just open, but we are doing trainings right there, empowering young persons in IT skills, and even young adults as well, to take advantage of the IT technologies that we're offering in Clifton and Capuchin. In sports, one very close to my heart, Mr. Speaker, we're able to launch the first football club in the Cottage constituency ever. First ever. We don't have playing fields for football, but we have some guys that were trained by Chris and Andy, and they use Portsmouth for now. And they were in the first division league of the FA this year, and they did well, and I want to commend them for that. So we are doing positive things, Mr. Speaker. The Lamb of Playing Field, we will continue to do our rehab books at the field, and we have persons volunteering to have it manicured and prepared as we look to launch a few sporting activities this summer. In housing, I want to just special thanks to the PM for supporting me directly in doing some renovation works, well needed renovation works in Tukari, Clifton, Cottage, and Capuchin at a value of over $400,000. And the persons that benefited, they're very grateful and happy, and they send their thanks to the PM for that direct intervention. But going forward, Mr. Speaker, we have a lot of work to do in Cottage. We have some housing needs. We have to do some drainage works at that time. In Lago, in particular, we have some footpaths and drainage works. But importantly, we have the Cotton Hill water system that we need to get going because Cotton Hill is expanding. And we persons higher end don't have DOASCO. So I'm working with DOASCO. They already provided me with an invoice for that. They're working with me, and the PM has committed the funding for that. So this fiscally for sure will extend that water system for the persons up in Cotton Hill. And the list can go on. We have a lot to do, but I won't take the entire morning listing them. But I just want to thank the persons, my constituents, for their patience, for their love, and most importantly, their prayers for keeping me with them for that season. Very loving and kind people. They look out for me. I look out for them. I want to thank my association, my Labour Party Association in the constituency. They are my foot soldiers. They work with me very closely. The chairpersons of the councils in Clifton and in Cottage, and our NEB coordinator, our NEB team, for doing a wonderful job in making sure the constituency is clean and green. So whenever you visit. So, Mr. Speaker, with that intervention, I would like to once again lend my support to the budget, and I'm looking forward to a fruitful fiscal year. Thank you very much.
Yes, Senator Henderson Reed, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. James. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. James. Mr. Speaker, I humbly seek your permission to refer to my notes.
Permission granted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand to give my contribution to the 2024-2025 national budget in a struggling economy where the words national reset is no longer heard, as no national reset has been done yet. When at this point, well, Mr. Speaker, a financial budget can be defined as a plan that outlines an organization's or individual's financial goals and how they intend to achieve them over a specific period, typically a year. A financial budget includes estimates of income and expenses, serving as a tool for tracking financial performance and informed decisions. What really adds value to a financial budget is a strategic plan. I listened to the budget last Friday, a feeling of deja vu. I felt like I was in 2023, but no, I meant 2022, or was it 2021? Mr. Speaker, forgive my confusion as the budget presentation seemed a bit recycled. As a matter of fact, I didn't hear as much clapping and pounding from the other side, Mr. Speaker. Their faces looked like they all wanted to sigh. It was like listening to your teacher read the same comprehension story every week. Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Finance did not point out the 5 fundamental pillars which were to guide the reset within the government service as indicated in the 2023-2024 fiscal budget. The fundamental pillars that were to support and provide a foundation for which they begin once again. After being in power for over 24 years, they like to begin and begin and begin. They don't grow, they begin in. The analysis and comparison between the financial year 2022-2023 and 2023-2024 are very similar to that of 2024-2025, which clearly indicates that most ministries of government are operating with an implementation rate of less than 50% for development projects. Money is approved and the ministry simply cannot get the work done. People in the public are saying that the country is broke. But Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't say something like that. Mr. Speaker, let me say congratulations to the 77 small businesses who were awarded grants from the government through the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project. Kudos to the government for this initiative. When it is good, I will say it's good. However, Mr. Speaker, I listened to Senator Rowe last evening disputing the fact that quite a bit of businesses in the private sector closed their doors under this Labour Party government. I have on this list, Mr. Speaker, 111 prominent, 111 prominent private businesses which are no longer operational, and they all went out of business during the tenure of this Labour Party regime. Should I list them? Well, I only have 30 minutes, so but I have a copy for you, Senator Rowe. When a business closes its doors, this means that people are losing jobs. Families are being affected and the economy is being impacted significantly. Mr. Speaker, how can one minimize something so life-changing? Is the senator aware that absolutely nothing was done in 19 of the 21 improvement projects for which the Ministry of Culture, Youth, Sports and Community Development was responsible for in the last financial year? Imagine they could not even spend the $200,000 approved for strengthening the Dominica Youth Business Trust, the DYBT, which he claims to be so passionate about. Mr. Speaker, the youth are left lost for words because they do not see the budget presented for 2024-2025 fiscal year as encouraging or inspiring with the youth in mind. The takeaways from the budget presentation as it relates to youth, education, and culture is minimal. Once again, our young people are overlooked. Let's revisit the last fiscal year, where $23.6 million was approved for the Ministry of Education. The revised figure shows that $28.5 million was spent. The ministry overspent by $4.9 million, yet $0 was spent on the following projects: the Siniku Classroom Block, the Bellevue Chopin Petit Savant Primary School, renovation of the Catterbrue Secondary School, rehabilitation of the Goodwill Primary School, renovation of Education, Science and Technology Building, and Safe Schools Project. Mr. Speaker, we boast of the construction of a new, modern, and conducive Dominica Grammar School, the largest secondary school in the Roseau catchment area. Yet, it's alleged that the project is on pause due to non-payment. Some people might say it's a scandal, but Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say those things. Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Finance in his address spoke of the Center of Excellence, which would include facilities for training delivered by skilled professionals in auto mechanics, woodwork, garment production, air condition and refrigeration installation and repair, electricity and electronics. I commend this effort where the technical side of learning is making its way in the schools. So I applaud the Ministry of Education for that. On the other hand, Mr. Speaker, only 5.8% is allotted for education in 2024-2025 fiscal year. We continue to hear and read about the millions of dollars that the government of Dominica owes to Midwestern State University and Grambling State University in the US. The students resort to social media to cry for help. I heard the member from Wesley boast that the government of Dominica is funding tuition fees for students studying at those schools in the US. I am left to assume that the member is oblivious to the cry from the students, or he is just dishonest. Mr. Speaker, this is the same member.
Member, you cannot say a member is dishonest. Withdraw.
I withdraw. This is the same member who spoke of treachery in his presentation. But there's nothing more treacherous than the imaginary stories he told in the House last evening, that Wesley is booming with economic activity and nightlife. Yet my friend who lives in Wesley messaged me while he was speaking to ask me which Wesley he was talking about. I told her it was John and Charles Wesley from the Methodist hymn book because it just could not be the community of Wesley located between Marigot and Woodford Hill in the Commonwealth of Dominica. The member knows and the government is very aware of its inability to pay for those schools in the U.S. at this time. Why put the students through the stress? I appeal to the Minister for Education and her team to please restructure the program. With an agreement with the schools in the U.S., the parents or guardians can pay the in-state fees. It's a big difference, Mr. Speaker, as compared to international, and I know. For the students, the parents should have the option of affordable student loans for their children right here in Dominica and their financial institutions with that. This will be a more sensible approach to the study abroad program in the U.S. Mr. Speaker, this government needs fresh and innovative ideas. They need to operate with a strategic plan as a guide. The Vicky-Vai way of running this country is obviously not working for them or for the beautiful people of Dominica. Mr. Speaker, there seems to be a trend in the presentations by some of the members on the other side. Pie in the sky promises, projects and initiatives in their presentations that somehow do not exist in the draft estimates for the fiscal year 2024-2025. Some people would say that these members are either dishonest or I withdraw. I wouldn't say that. Or there are no funds available to their ministries to complete their projects. But Mr. Speaker, I would not say something like that. Mr. Speaker, maybe their business bright and it's creamy. Fact, the member for Portsmouth is very aware that the apartment owners in the Portsmouth area, businesses are not bright, nor are they creamy. The occupancy rates in these apartments are at their all-time low, and the owners are struggling to meet obligations. We all know that. Fact. Mr. Speaker, I listened to Senator Oscar George on Monday evening where he stated that so many things are happening. Senator George, apparently it isn't happening in the Ministry of Sports and Culture where you serve as Minister for State with special responsibility for youth and sports, as only 3.6% of your approved budget was used for the fiscal year 2023-2024. Data, you don't lie. We continue to boast of the successes of our athletes and sportsmen and women when they continuously excel in sporting activities and tournaments both here and abroad. But what does this government really have in place for them to even feel comfortable to boast? I wish to extend congratulations to the Will Strathmore Stevens Primary School, my alma mater, in the Marigot constituency, who were the champions for the following tournaments and cultural events: the 2024 Primary School Netball Championship, double championship in the boys and girls basketball tournament, girls volleyball championship, and gold medal at the National Schools Art Festival for dance. Mr. Speaker, I also wish to congratulate those who represented Dominica and represented well. Our cricketers Kevin Hodge, Alec Afanas, and Stephen Pascal. Our very own King James, aka Addison James from the Marigot constituency, we salute you for winning medals after medals for your country. And to our athletes, especially those who are out there representing us at the Summer Olympics in Paris, we look forward to hearing your name on the international media, making Dominica extremely proud. Mr. Speaker, this brings me back to an interview in November 2022 when Thea Lafont was awarded $200,000 by the government of Dominica for investing in her trainings and as she continues to represent Dominica. Well deserved. She deserved it. She expressed her thanks to the government for believing in and funding her dream. In an interview with DBS, she said, I will say that I do think the next step to ensuring the future success of our athletes is giving them a place to train. I am here. I would love to train on the track. Close quote. Mr. Speaker, if Fia was to come back to Dominica today, to train for a month or so, preparing to represent Dominica once again, is there a facility available for her to train and train well? Was anything done since her interview in 2022? Mr. Speaker, again, this brings me back to March 2023, where the Minister of State in the Ministry of Culture, Youth, Sports, and Community Development, Senator Oscar George, was a guest on the Focus on Government program, aired on DBS Radio. Are you listening? On that program, the minister informed the listening public that the government of Dominica is making serious headway for athletes in track and field development, referring to a facility slated to be constructed in Point Round. Mr. Speaker, please allow me to quote the minister. I think it's time we make some serious headway for our track athletes. So I think this project is very timely for our track athletes. This project will consist of a 400-meter synthetic track. We will have a practice track, we will have amenities, we will have office space, parking, we will have lights and provisions for all the different types of track events. Mr. Speaker, $5 million was approved for the synthetic Olympic track and field facility in 2022-2023 fiscal budget. $0 was spent. I don't see the track and field. I don't know how to say it. $1.2 million was also approved for the same synthetic Olympic track and field facility in 2023-2024 fiscal budget. Yet again, $0 was spent. Are we to take this government seriously when they try to convince us that they are investing in the future of sports in Dominica? Money was approved for the rehabilitation, restoration of playing fields and facilities from the 2023-2024 fiscal budget. Not $1 was spent. This data is according to the draft estimates given to me last Friday. That's Friday you got that, right there. We can produce so much more trained and equipped top-level athletes, cricketers and alike from this country if we are serious about investing in sports. I commend Dominica's athletes, our sportsmen and women, for excelling despite the lack of gears and equipment needed to train in the respective sporting disciplines. Mr. Speaker, just imagine if real investments were made in the facilities needed. Just imagine. Some individuals in the sports division gave me a task, Mr. Speaker. They would like to know if the Minister of State focusing on youth and sports and the Minister in charge of the Ministry of Sports are aware that the sports division does not have the proper equipment and gears for cricket. Available are all gloves, all pads, burst helmet straps, no ball protectors for the kids. Mr. Speaker, how do we expect to train the future Kavem, Stefan, and Alec with no gears? Mr. Speaker, I was as excited as all Dominicans when I saw the Prime Minister's announcement on Twitter that stated, and I quote, "We're a big deal, and this news is a big deal." Dominica named among 7 Caribbean venues to host matches during the T20 World Cup, which runs from June 4th to 30th, 2024. So you would imagine my disappointment when I later read on WestIndiesCricket.com that we were no longer going to play host to the world for exciting cricket action right here in the Nature Isle. Some people say it is because we did not have money to put lights in the stadium. But Mr. Speaker, you know I would not say something like that. I don't say those things. Because $4.5 million was approved in the 2023-2024 fiscal budget for improvement works for ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024. And in any event, Mr. Speaker, it could not have been about not having money. Because St. Lucia came right here to the National Bank of Dominica on Hillsborough Street earlier this year to get the millions it needed to complete preparations of its facilities to host 5 games in the same T20 Cricket World Cup. Mr. Speaker, I listened to the minister responsible for culture, youth, sports, and community development speak at the Golden Drum Awards on Saturday evening. She informed the audience and attendees that the long-awaited Arawak House of Culture will be opened by the end of the year. The minister then had to ask the audience to give a round of applause, asking those present to trust her. Can you just imagine? Mr. Speaker, DBS News, DBS News. Mr. Speaker, according to actual expenditure for 2023-2024 fiscal year, $0 was spent on the rehabilitation of the Arawak House of Culture. There is work to be done on the roof, and everything else is at standstill. This has been an ongoing project from 2018. Promises made, promises not kept. In the Minister for Finance budget presentation, he informed us once again that the government is continuing its effort to boost agriculture's contribution to GDP to $700 million by 2030. I have not seen any concrete plans to convince me that this will happen. But I am optimistic. I am optimistic. He continued to say that the government believes there is significant potential for growth in this sector, driven by the increasing global demand for food security. And Mr. Speaker, I must agree with this statement, Agriculture was once king, it can be king again. Roland, I believe in agriculture. However, I've noticed a significant reduction in the Ministry of Agriculture projects. Is it because the ministry only utilized 29% of its approved budget for the last fiscal year? Questions I ask you.
Honorable Senator,
Yes.
do not call members by their name.
I
We're not on the
apologize.
block. We are not on the block.
My apologies.
So,
The Minister for Agriculture. You spoke about an
and you have to say
OECS
honorable minister or the honorable member for a particular
the
constituency.
Honorable Minister for Agriculture. You spoke about an OECS Youth in Agriculture Symposium next week. But according to the draft estimates, the National Youth in Agriculture Program, NAYA, is suspended for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. Are they confusing us? As a matter of fact, in addition to NAYA, 4 other new projects in the budget for the fiscal year 2023-2024 have been suspended, namely Sustainable Fisheries Development Program, Agribusiness and Value Chain Development, National Agriculture Education Program, and Development of the Blue Economy. In the book I said it, right? Mr. Speaker, I would really like to know the reason for the suspension. My understanding of the National Youth in Agriculture Program, NAYA, was a means in support of young people involved in agriculture to support their drive and passion to set up their first farms or to modernize and expand their current farm facilities. $1 million for the program was announced in a press conference held on March 31st last year and was approved for the program in the 2023-2024 budget. According to the revised estimates, no money was spent and the project is suspended. How will agriculture contribute $700 million to GDP if the young men and women are not motivated, mobilized, versed, or trained in the agriculture industry as promised? Time and time again, the young people continue to wait for their turn. When will their turn come? Mr. Speaker, we will continue to champion the need for feeder roads in the Marigot constituency. We were pleased to hear that money was included in the draft estimates and the Honorable Minister for Agriculture spoke about it for 2024-2025 financial year for works to be done on the Captain Bruce feeder road. Please, 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 please do not disappoint the farmers who traverse the Captain Bruce Road yet again. To my past colleague, the Minister for Agriculture, the Honorable Minister, what about the other critical feeder roads in the Marigot constituency? We have been waiting and waiting. We don't want to wait in vain for feeder roads. Mr. Speaker, there are other critical feeder roads which has been they're dilapidated, they reach a dilapidated state. The Mount George feeder road in Marigot looks like Jurassic Park. The young farmers in the area are highly discouraged as selling their produce is a challenge. Vehicle owners do not want to put their vehicles through this destroyed road. Young farmers like Rashid Chefi Stout continues to complain about traversing with produce on his head or on a wheelbarrow to get to an area that a vehicle can reach comfortably. Mr. Speaker, we want to encourage young people to get into agriculture, but what are we doing to entice them? Some of the money that was not spent in the last fiscal year could be allotted to the feeder roads. I will continue to remind the Minister, the Honorable Minister for Agriculture, that feeder roads need attention. Mr. Speaker, let's talk about the poultry feed shortage issue and the effect that this is having on the birds and their laying abilities. A matter of fact, the Honorable Minister for Agriculture, I will leave you in the hands of Mrs. Henderson. She sent me a long list of things to give you about the poultry. She asked you to visit her in the coming week. She's waiting for you. These your people, Mr. Honorable Minister. Mr. Speaker, the runway at the Douglas Charles Airport extension is complete according to the Minister for Tourism. However, I see it as an ongoing expense in the draft estimates for 2024-2025. Nonetheless, the effect of the extremely undermined main access road where the wave over topic issue occurs should not be discounted. It will affect the quality of the tourism product that we are aiming to improve on. The runway you just fix it will fix it back for you. The Minister for Public Works continues to traverse this area, yet no attention is given to it. It is not even mentioned or provided for in the draft estimates for 2024-2025. An ongoing issue for over 10 years, totally ignored. It is affecting the people of your constituency as well. Mr. Speaker, I heard the members on the other side, the Minister for Tourism and Senator Rowell, mention that the Dominica's World Prayer Music Festival has been nominated in the category of Music Event of the Year for the Caribbean Music Awards 2024. Kudos to J.L. Joseph, having co-hosted the first event last year and boldly pushing and promoting Dominica's festival and Dominica's bouillon music and artists. Her recommendations to the Caribbean Music Award also landed bouillon music as a category where our very own Asa Banton, Khalid XP, Kenny G, Rio, Triple K International, Rich and Nice were nominated. Let us continue to embrace our people who push the Dominica product. The critiques are to help with better branding and packaging of our Dominica product. It's never personal. Well done, JL. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I join the rest of Dominica to extend congratulations to Miss Marva Williams, the new CEO of Discover Dominica. Madam CEO, I know that you will do extremely well. I've worked with you. We are all rooting for you. Mr. Speaker, I urge the Minister for Tourism to stay out of Miss Williams' way. Do not try to micromanage her. She is great at what she does, and she knows what needs to be done at Discover Dominica. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, Honorable Roberts, you are recognized. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me make sure I have my mic position. Mr. Speaker, I rise to give my fullest support to the 2024-25 budget and to echo the sentiments of my colleagues before me in genuinely and wholeheartedly congratulating the Honorable Minister for Finance and his team for once again outlining a detailed fiscal plan for our country, one that inspires hope for our people as we build a platform for sustainable growth and development. Mr. Speaker, this budget, as can be seen, was not crafted in abstract, but every attempt has been made through various consultations to present a budget grounded in practicality, a budget that reflects the needs of every Dominican. But Mr. Speaker, before I proceed, please allow me to convey greetings to the constituents of Grand Fort, Monjon, Rivière, Sirik, Foyal, and Tefem, all of whom I owe a debt of gratitude for affording me the opportunity to represent them in this honorable house. I want to thank them for their support, their words of encouragement, their advice, their prayers, and their critiques, for these two helped me in being better able to chart a course forward for their overall development. Mr. Speaker, whilst my colleague, the Honorable Oscar George, has already conferred accolades, it would be remiss of me if I do not offer my own personal congratulations to our sportsmen and women, Kevin Hodge, Ali Cathanas, Stephen Pascal, and Thea Lafont, who have made us proud as Dominicans. I want them to know, Mr. Speaker, that their achievements have been an inspiration to us all, especially to aspiring athletes across the island. Their dedication, talent, and hard work have set them apart, and I celebrate their achievements and wish them continued success in the future. I also wish to acknowledge all of our other sportsmen and women who have excelled in their field of sports during the past year. Sincerest gratitude goes out to our sports coordinator, Mr. Trevor Shillingford, and all our sports officers and youth sports officers, and of course our stadium manager, Mr. Gafford Joseph. Mr. Speaker, I have been tasked with the responsibility of the Ministry of Culture, Youth Sports and Community Development, a ministry that has generally been regarded as a people's ministry. It is a ministry of diverse portfolios to include sports, youth, culture, cooperatives, postal services, and community development. And because of the high degree of importance placed on this ministry, I am particularly blessed to have with me an esteemed sportsman and youthful colleague minister, the Honorable George. A perfect team player, Mr. Speaker, and to him I say thank you. During the last fiscal year, we were able to successfully implement various programs and activities in spite of some non-unique challenges that we faced. So, Mr. Speaker, permit me to inform this Honorable House of some of our accomplishments for the 2023-2024 period. Culture. Mr. Speaker, culture is the soul of a nation, the heart that beats to the rhythm of our collective identity. It is a mirror that reflects the essence of who we are, where we have been, and where we are heading. The Cultural Division, Mr. Speaker, therefore plays a pivotal role in the planning and execution of programs and activities throughout the year, geared at preserving and developing our culture. Training remains a key component as it relates to the preservation of Dominican culture, and the division continued to spearhead training in the arts through programs targeting school and community-based groups, as well as the Dominica Institute for the Arts, DIFA. In an attempt at preserving our cultural traditions, art forms, and expressions, the division maintained the collection of visual media. This research and documentation was accomplished by digitizing archived audiovisual media for the purpose of robust long-term storage and future dissemination. Instructional videos were also produced as learning aids for cultural dances, the national wear, and the playing of traditional instruments. The promotion of our culture was a significant aspect of the division's annual calendar of activities, highlighting the National Schools Arts Festival, Emancipation, Domfesta, Independence, and Heritage Day, among others. In an attempt to broaden the appeal of these cultural activities, the use of creative mediums became necessary, and so the introduction of new activities, such as fusion and Afro-artistic, during Domfesta and Emancipation, respectively, sought to showcase traditional culture on a platform shared with contemporary counterparts. Old Mass Jouvet edition, which was staged at Point Michel for 2 consecutive years, is another event where traditional art forms and expressions were given their own time and place, attracting thousands to the community.
Remember, you would like permission to refer to your notes?
Yeah, I forgot, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Forgive me. May
right.
I please have permission
Yeah.
to refer to my notes?
Permission granted.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, okay.
The National School Arts Festival continues to serve as a breeding ground for young talent in many cultural aspects, attracting hundreds of our students from within the primary and secondary school system. Thanks to all the teachers and community leaders who work tirelessly with our students in honing their skills in the various art forms. During the financial year, we successfully staged the 2023 Independence celebrations, opening at the Teaser Ground in Maho and culminating with the grand celebration of Heritage Day at Woodford Hill. Commendations go out to the parliamentary representative, the Honorable Grant, Ms. Greenaway, and the Heritage Day Committee for a job well done. Mr. Speaker, at this time, I wish to offer sincerest gratitude to all our cultural enthusiasts and practitioners who came out to assist and participate in the various district cultural festivals, the Wabduyat and the Madam of Madame shows, and all other activities during our celebrations. I must also single out and commend the adult, children's, and kiddies cultural groups from my constituency under the guidance of Mr. Buddy Phillip. Your efforts at keeping culture alive in the constituency will not be forgotten. Another highlight, Mr. Speaker, was a highly revered annual Team Culture community outreach drive, in which the staff reached out to deserving individuals around the island, delivering tokens and appreciations to those who have made meaningful contributions to the arts and culture. Mr. Speaker, it is always gratifying to show appreciation, to give flowers, as is said, to others. And strangely, Mr. Speaker, one of these tokens were given just in time to Mr. Ashworth Simon, better known as Brown, one of our cultural stalwarts who passed away recently. May his soul rest in peace. The Golden Drum Awards, which was just held last week, is another grand event where nationals and cultural practitioners are awarded for their stellar contribution to the arts. Congratulations again to all of our recipients. Let me thank the hardworking people at the Cultural Division, Mr. Ulson Matthew and his team. Hats off to all of you. Teamwork really does make the dream work. At this time, I want to salute also our new cultural ambassador, Mr. Leroy Waddix Charles. We all know that he has been a driving force in promoting our culture, breathing life into our cultural heritage, both here and in the diaspora. Mr. Speaker, I wish him well, and it will certainly be a pleasure working with him in his new role. Mr. Speaker, the renovation works at the Arawak House of Culture has been faced with challenges over the past years. This financial year, completion of rehabilitation works will be our top priority. The ministry has conducted an assessment of the status of the project and has prepared an in-house estimate for its recommencement very early in this financial year, and we are looking forward to its completion by the end of this year. It will be done by the end of this year. For some reason, I get the impression you all don't want anything to happen in this country. It will happen. By the grace of God, it will happen. It will happen. You all just want something to talk about. It will happen. Speak about the good things happening. Oh, sorry. Mr. Speaker, I think we have to pass a bill in this parliament for us to be able to speak Creole. As the culture minister, maybe I should say that. It is difficult. We are talking to people, especially our elderly people who love to listen to parliament. People buy little radio just to lie down on their bed and listen to us. And we are trying to speak perfect English in the house. Use big words that they themselves don't understand.
Well, I've said it's up to the parliamentarian. It's a democracy. I'm very fluent in Creole, so I can understand, I can speak, and I'm from Roseau. So it's up to members.
I don't see why. I mean, I saw the St. Lucia Parliament, and in St. Lucia, everybody was speaking Creole easily, no problem. So let's try to do that, man. Mr. Speaker, the budget makes provisions also for the Cultural Training and Resilience Center at Paybush. We all know that Paybush is a cultural hub, and the cultural group under the leadership of Ms. Rosalind Paul, former Minister of Culture, has been actively engaged in cultural activities in the North for the past 40 years. And I am happy that we are able to work with them on this center. Mr. Speaker, I also know the PAL rep representing the cultural capital of Dominica, the Right Honorable Vince Henderson. He's awaiting works to begin on Matutu's Park. PAL rep, you're on. I want the people of Grand Bay to know that you have been literally harassing me. You want Matutu's Park. You want work to be done there. And this budget clearly spells this out. We will commit to our promise for rehabilitation works to commence as soon as we possibly can. Okay, darling? Love you, my dear. Mr. Speaker, sometime last year, the Honorable Prime Minister made a pronouncement emphasizing the need for focus to be placed on cultural enterprise development, targeting 3 districts in Dominica, namely the North, the Northeast, and the Kalinago Territory. I wish to applaud the work of Ms. Paul again, Ms. Rosalind Paul, my consultant at the Ministry of Culture, who is facilitating and spearheading this development. So far, the ministry has undertaken a series of community consultation, stakeholder engagements, mapping of community cultural assets, sharing of expert and indigenous knowledge, and joint site visits and assessments. Through this, we were able to assess the potential for cultural enterprise development, the culture ecosystem, and existing environment within those targeted districts. The exercise highlighted the rich cultural heritage of the North, Northeast, and Kalinago communities, and various platforms which can be explored for cultural enterprise development, more particularly through community heritage tourism and events. We also discussed how these communities can leverage the potential opportunities offered through the upcoming international airport and the marina. These interactions informed 2 important documents which will assist us in taking the process forward. 1, the mapping of cultural assets and culture entrepreneurship ecosystem, and 2, a draft strategic plan for cultural enterprise development through community heritage tourism. All these initiatives warrant the need for a review of Dominica's policy on culture, a major undertaking for this new financial year. It must be reviewed if cultural enterprise development is to align with current trends. Mr. Speaker, I move to the Ministry of Youth. And whilst Honorable George may have touched on 1 or 2 things, I was quite disturbed, and every time we come to say something about what Mr. Paris says, he's never there. But I was quite disturbed when the senator referred to the Ministry of Youth as not doing anything for the young people. This ruffled my feathers. I don't have feathers to chiffon in my clothes. Because, Mr. Speaker, we have done so much for the youth of this country. We had Mr. Roll last night, Honorable Roll, speaking on what has been done at the Dominica Youth Business Trust. Mr. Speaker, We give guidance to our young entrepreneurs. And according to your mantra, we work from vision to reality. You people who want to start a business, well, just come to the office. They work with you. They draft out your like a business plan for you. They try to seek funding. But what you all want again? I was one of those handing out checks to people who have started business. $25,000. Mr. Speaker, you ask yourself, what do I have to do again? People have to take advantage of the opportunities that this government is putting out for people. We are making these things available. Put out yourself. Unless nowadays they want the Minister of Youth to walk in every community and say, come, 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 we have something, come for it. Mr. Speaker, the Youth Skills Training Program, Mr. Paris, Honorable Paris, Senator Paris, I'm happy you're back. The Youth Skills Training Programs. Over the years, we have done so many of those programs for our young people. We walk about, our youth officers, they carry out a survey. And it's not what we want, it's what they want. Electricals, plumbing, masonry, tiling, some called cake decorating. I think we even did the hairdressing, computer literacy, auto body repair, small engine repair. I can keep going and going. Youth in agriculture. Youth in agriculture.
That's fine.
No, but talk about the things that have been happening, my dear. Jesus Christ. But I'm the minister, I have to speak about what has been happening. Education, scholarships, tuition at the state college, free. We have the 4-H program, Mr. Speaker. The 4-H program falls under two ministries, the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Youth, under the leadership of our 4-H director, Mr. Bert Paul, and Ms. Abraham from the Youth Coordinator at the Ministry of Youth. I must thank them both, of course, wholeheartedly for the work they have been doing and for the young people at our schools, both primary and secondary. Presently, we are working with 54 primary school 4-H clubs and 10 secondary 4-H clubs. These youth are exposed to modern agricultural practices, agro-processing, entrepreneurship, leadership skills and competencies, team building exercises, culinary arts, and public speaking. Mr. Speaker, I'm very appreciative of the work Mr. Bert Paul has done since he took up the role as director of the 4-H club. He's very passionate about this job. 4-H has taken a whole new meaning. And Mr. Paul, if you are looking or listening, take a bow. You have done well. We also want to thank the teachers at the various schools who have devoted their time to ensuring that in spite of their heavy workloads, that 4-H programs at the schools can continue to thrive. Our guides, girl guides and cadets are meeting regularly with structured programs aimed at empowering our young boys and girls, building character, self-esteem, and discipline, so they can all make a positive difference in their schools and in their communities. Just last month, we held investiture ceremonies under the distinguished patronage of Her Excellency the President for 60 new cadets and 43 girl guides. I applaud the work of Ms. Joseph Seraphine Hedrington, Ms. Gloria Webb from the Girl Guides Association, and Major Fitzroy Leon and Commandant Joseph Raymond for their continued efforts at grooming our young men and women into responsible, well-rounded citizens. Let me also congratulate Commandant Joseph Raymond, who was recently made chairman of the Caribbean Commandants Association. Basic Needs Trust Fund. Mr. Speaker, the Basic Needs Trust Fund, BNTF, has for many years been undertaking poverty reduction initiatives with communities through the establishment of community-based infrastructure and skills training programs. Our primary outlook for 2024-25 is the implementation and completion of the BNTF 10 program and to begin the process of determining priority projects for BNTF 11. Mr. Speaker, 7 projects were approved in 3 targeted sectors in the last financial year, and these are presently in the advanced stage for commencement of actual works. These projects targeted 3 areas, namely education and human resource development, basic community access and drainage, and water and sanitation systems enhancement. These projects were approved for the Berean Christian Academy School Extension, the Delices Playing Field Upgrade, the Trafalgar Basketball Facility, the Grand Bay Multi-Purpose Facility completion, Clifton Back Road refurbishment, and the Paybush Water Enhancement Project. We initially had 7 projects. We experienced some challenges, and I need to applaud Honorable Charles Pemberton, who willingly agreed to hold back her project, the Soufriere Fish Processing Facility. I want to reassure this beautiful lady that this project, already approved by the CDB, the Caribbean Development Bank, will be the first project on the BNTF 11 in 2025. Thank you, Ms. Pemberton. The budget allocation, Mr. Speaker, for this project is $6,570 million, 95% of which is grant funded by the Caribbean Development Bank, with government's contribution $328,612 and 15% value-added tax, which brings it to a total of $7,560,000. To date, Mr. Speaker, all consultancy contracts, which are the technical consultants for design and supervision, have been signed, and work is set for August this year. In preparation for the full implementation and timely completion of this project, the ministry is boosting its staff complement with the engagement of a monitoring and evaluation officer, administrative and accounting officer, and a community liaison officer. This, we believe, will greatly contribute to meeting our targeted completion date in December. As we move on, our goal is to complete these projects and to identify priority projects for BNTF 11, which is set to begin in 2025. Mr. Speaker, our postal services play a vital role in connecting communities, facilitating communication, and supporting economic development. The rise in digital communication and e-commerce has led to a significant decline in traditional mail volumes as technology continues to transform the way in which we communicate and conduct business. So, Mr. Speaker, in order to remain relevant and to ensure sustainability, the Caribbean Postal Union and the Universal Postal Union has been working with our employees and ministers of postal services to examine options to diversify our product and service offerings, to tap into new revenue streams, and to improve social services and thus strengthen connectivity in the region. In the meantime, our staff has received overseas training in disaster risk management, advanced electronic data and customs declaration systems, transportation workshops, operation readiness for e-commerce, and trainer workshops, all of which were fully funded by the Universal Postal Union. In addition to these overseas workshops, the Universal Postal Union also conducted virtual training online for a total of 15 of our staff members. With these, Mr. Speaker, our postal service is now better positioned to perform the duties and to deliver effective and efficient services to our customers. One of our major challenges for CPU countries lay in the transportation of mail to other Caribbean islands, since some of the airlines do not have licenses to transport mail. But I want to take this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to thank the CEO and manager of the Intercaribbean, who has come forward and has agreed to assist us in this matter in the interim while negotiations continue. Cooperatives. The cooperative division seeks to foster sustainable economic and social development through viable cooperative enterprises in fisheries, agriculture, and industrial sector. Presently, there are 29 cooperatives across the island, distributed over 4 districts, with the southern district, of course, being the most active, having the most active groups. The division has also, over the years, developed savings unionettes. I think the minister alluded to that last night, in both primary and secondary schools, with 51 of these unionettes on the island, Mr. Speaker. Dominica has become the leader in cooperatives, having the highest level of membership penetration in the world. I thank Ms. Canoville and her dedicated staff for the efforts at building communities through cooperatives. Local government and community development. Mr. Speaker, the Division of Local Government and Community Development provides oversight for 42 local government bodies on the island. These councils, both village and town councils, facilitate community development and the delivery of decentralized local services, including government social protection programs. Over the financial year, we were witness to 18 council elections and inauguration ceremonies. And just recently, the Kalinago chief elections was held. We hope to have elections next Wednesday to elect a Kalinago council to run the affairs of this community. Mr. Speaker, all these elections have generated a high level of community involvement. But what is worthy of note as well, Mr. Speaker, is the heightened involvement of our young people coming forward to serve their communities as councillors. Mr. Speaker, for the good governance of these communities, there is a need for making and updating our existing bylaws, especially those with regards to house and business rates and animal control. This behoves us, therefore, Mr. Speaker, to finalize the review of the local government bills for presentation to Cabinet, which includes the draft Village Council Bill, Municipalities Bill, and the amendment to the Kalinago Act, all of which have been prepared with the assistance of the Attorney General's chambers. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank all those who have taken up the mantle to lead as councillors in their various districts, and I wish them well. The month of May every year is designated as Local Government Month, and this year we celebrated under the theme Local Government Maximizing Opportunities for Community Transformation. Several activities form part of the program, which included a focus on education, discussions with councillors on the proposed legislation in building community resilience. Several of our community activities were held, which served to build community cohesion and extend government's visibility in communities around the island. With the support of the Treasury Department, thanks to our officers, a software-based accounting system, the Village Council Accounting System, utilized for the payment of public assistance and the non-contributory pension 65 and over was introduced. This has been implemented in approximately 90% of our councils, and the division has been working island-wide to achieve 100% coverage so that all village councils have the required tools available in being compliant. In keeping with our vision and strategic direction expressed in our Climate Resilient Recovery Plan 2020 to 2030, focused on building strong communities and a collective consciousness, we continue to build on the work under the Community Emergency Resilient Initiative, CERI. The budget also provides allocations for this initiative for training and community preparedness, focused on the development of community disaster management plans and the training of shelter managers and disaster committee leaders in shelter management, emergency radio communication, damage assessment and needs analysis, and supply management. Presently, Mr. Speaker, 104 facilities have been identified as emergency shelters for the 2024 hurricane season. Community disaster committees and local authorities continue to stand ready to respond at a community level since we have just witnessed the start of the hurricane season. The 3 regional shelters at Jimit, Casabus, and Layu, which have a combined capacity of 950, this will significantly enhance the state's capacity to provide shelter before, during, and after a disaster. As we continue our plans for the new fiscal year, the Division of Local Government will continue to give attention to enhancing the capacity and efficiency of our local councils. Attention will be given to regularizing a few village councils to include the Petit Savan Village Council as we consider pathways for either their integration into Bellevue Chopin or to have them function independently. We have also received a request for expanding local government coverage to communities like Warner. I think the Rep referred to that when he spoke, where no local government authority exists at present. So given that they have expressed an interest in having local public services to be brought closer to them, we have begun to examine the possibilities and we should present them with a proposal soon. Mr. Speaker, some communities have also expressed concern over the lack of space at cemeteries in some parts of the island and the need for public cemeteries in some cases, public and private cemeteries. We are presently carrying out a survey as well to identify possible areas in the said communities that could serve as burial grounds. At this time, I turn to my constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm able to stand here today because of my constituents. Everybody spoke of the friendliness in their constituencies, but I have to say, mine is one of the most friendly, loving, patient people anybody could ask for. And I see Honorable Skerritt knocking hard because you experienced that yourself. Yes, man. Nice people. Small constituency, Mr. Speaker. But once you come there, you can leave. Very nice. I mean, this is why we could not survive during COVID, you know. We just like to hug people, love them, kiss people. So it was difficult for us to yeah, man. And we welcome visitors with open arms. So we get visitors from here. We like a whole tourist industry by ourselves. Mr. Speaker, but you can attest to that. But who am I speaking with, the man? I mean, you left Roseau, River Street to be exact, and you came all the way to Grand Farm just to find a wife. I mean. So, man, you know him. Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, translate.
I shouldn't even be talking.
Translate.
What are you saying?
What did I say? What you saying?
You say, Sauka Dimwe.
Saukatan,
What are you telling me?
what are you telling me? Sorry. I think I had it right the first time though. But Mr. Speaker, as loving, as caring, as understanding as they are, I cannot take them for granted. And so I want to inform them that this budget, which was carefully crafted so as to meet the needs of every Dominican, is certainly going to address some of their needs in many ways. Mr. Speaker, my constituency, as you are aware, thrives on agriculture and has been so for many years. Our farmers take pride in what they do. Farming is a tradition for experienced farmers, men and women alike. We also have an organized women's group for years now, mainly focused on organic farming. And Mr. Speaker, I'm fully aware that the Honorable Minister has been taking care of my farmers. And I'm happy he spoke before me because they heard. So right now, I have no fear. Farmers are in good hands with Honorable Roland. Yes, it was election, we could even make a thing there one time. Yeah, we need to. I come in here. From my end, we have tried to assist in small ways, Mr. Speaker, little fertilizer distribution. You visit their farms, of course. Every weekend, I am like a market at my home too because they are nice people. They just bring things. Sweet pepper, seasoning pepper, and they put back, I dash in. You got to come again, anything. I thank Mr. Speaker, we encourage them also because we have the land, we have the rain, we have the fertile soil. So we encourage them to do a lot of backyard gardening. And I want to thank Mr. Johnson Drago or Castle Bruce man over there, man, along with our Chinese friends at the Chinese Agricultural Mission. Mr. Speaker, they continue to give us seeds and seedlings every time. They even helped some farmers with their irrigation practices. They even covered some of our greenhouses. You know all that about your board. Yeah, man. They're really helping, man. And I really want to thank them for that. We even brought farming to the school, Mr. Speaker, and our school garden is doing well, feeding our students with vegetables and ground provisions on a daily basis. And as you are aware, Mr. Speaker, that our dashing is second to none. It is well known for its dryness and its taste. Yeah, every time I see dry dashing in Rosemary, I know it comes from Grand Farm. Anytime. Sweet dashing. I also have engaged 2 ladies and 2 men to ensure, Mr. Speaker, that our school garden will continually supply the schools with food on our children's table. Mr. Speaker, you heard the minister again speaking of plantain and banana farmers. I'm happy to hear that too, because I have some banana farmers that really want to push that. Jackson, George, and those people. And plantain. The Southeast is just known for plantain. I think we surpass the country on the Southeast for plantain production. That's #1. Yeah, man. I take up Miss Honorable Williams, La Plaine and Grantham, but La Plaine has more. But it's Southeast, so we take that. Right. Leading producers in plantain. I take pride in this. I take pride in honoring at this time Colma Shillingford. Yes. Very hardworking farmer man. I meet Mr. every morning. I'm going down on the road. Going to his, yes, man. And our farmers have to know that farming is hard work. Rain or shine, you outside. The Lawrence family in Foyal, famous plantain growers as well. Mr. Ivan Pascal, a young man from my constituency. He was driving his truck before, but he realized farming is the way to go. And he has opened up, expanded his farm, and the man is a big man now. He's probably hearing me and shaking his head. I also want to thank Mr. Solomon Pascal, of course, very passionate about his job. And solo, working with the farmers, especially the plantain and banana farmers, so that they can at least reach their full potential. I applaud that in him. So we are trying to do our best, Mr. Speaker, and at the same time we are trying to engage the younger ones so they can live up to the tradition. So I was one of those who highly applauded the efforts of the ministry when they introduced the Youth in Agriculture program. We did that at the State House. I think I addressed them at that time. And this really captured the hearts of our young people. So they approached me and they said, well, they called me Miss Greta. We think famine is the way to go, so we want you to help us. So last week, they were granted an educational tour to the agricultural mission in Portsmouth, and they also visited the tissue culture lab. And let me tell you, Mr. Speaker, I was amazed by the heightened interest that these young people displayed. When one of them told me, Miss, what agriculture are you doing in school? So now I see what the book was saying. Yes, the exposure was good for them. And it's the type of questions they asked. And I just marveled. So much so that the Chinese told me, whenever I'm ready to start with them, they want to come forward to guide them as to how to go. So we have the land there, Mr. Speaker, you know we have land. You will dragon fruit? We get a lot of dragon fruit, all different colors. Purple, white, yeah, we get that. So, Mr. Speaker, we are ready to begin. I want to help them. Whilst the desire is there, whilst they are motivated, I want to try my best to help them. Mr. Speaker, I also welcome the allocation in the budget made to the rehabilitation of the abattoir. I say so not only because I have profited. Well, I don't use profited before people think it's money I was getting. I'm speaking of the constituency, so it's not me, it's my people, immensely from its operations. But the income, by the income generated from our poultry farmers, we had a lot. Yeah, my boy always used to see me that white thing, packing his chickens. Of course, I would always get mine on the side. But he was doing very well. A few of them doing very well. And so I want to let them know that we will begin soon enough. As soon as we open for business again, money will come back in the pockets. Feeder roads, while some with farmers, Mr. Minister, I see the allocation for the rehabilitation of feeder roads, and whilst mention was made that assistance will go to those highly productive areas, I have some farmers that need some help. I have been helping them with a few cement and tariffs just to make it accessible, but really and truly. Yeah. We have in Grand Font too, Tiguanfont, all those places there. Mouchepia Road. We have to try to see how we can help them. Yeah. Any little help I can get, I'll take it. Anything to help my farmers and keep them motivated. Mr. Speaker, the budget makes allocation for the rehabilitation of youth centers. Of course, that's under the Ministry of Culture. And this financial year, we commit to rehabilitating our youth center at Monjon. And I am not doing that because I am the PAL rep. It's because our youth officers have a challenge in the Southeast District. There is no office for them. And it has been so for a while. So we have the building, it's covered, but it needs some work. So once the allocation is made, we will try to see how we can find a place for them so the officers can sit down and based on the work done for the day, come back and have a discussion. Mr. Stedman must be smiling as I speak because he sees the need for this in the Southeast. We have obtained the estimates. It will be reviewed, and I give the assurance that it will be taken care of. Mr. Speaker, the budget also speaks to the $8 million project under the Ministry of Public Works, Water Sector Strategic Development Plan, which aims to provide a safe, reliable, resilient water system for the constituency. We are faced with challenges, of course, and anybody who knows Grand Funk can figure out the challenge we would have. But it is far greater in Monjon and Rivière Syrique because the people there go for days without water. With Grand Fond, once it rains, we haven't got water. Strange enough, you'd think the rain would bring water. Once it rains, we haven't got water. But with Monjon and Rivière Syrique, days without water. So I am happy that the WASCO is going to assist us, of course, through the Ministry of Public Works. I know they have to get those pipes over the mountains, in the hills, over the valleys. But with the 8 million, we should be able to get pretty close to where we want to be. The employees have been on the ground, the WASCO employees, and they're working with our self-proclaimed historian, Mr. Titus Pascal, because Titus is the one taking them around and pointing out whose land this is, where they should pass this. I applaud him, I appreciate the effort. And with that, they have started some work. And so the constituency thanks the government of Dominica and DFID for looking, and we look forward to the completion. Mr. Speaker, we also have funds allocated for the support of our social safety nets in the community. Mr. Speaker, we do not take those gifts for granted. These social programs come as a blessing to many of our less fortunate in the constituency and in constituencies around Dominica. And as a community, we are grateful to the government for this intervention. These forms are submitted for school books, for uniforms, for shoes. I mean, parents just have life sweet. The government takes care of them. And then I also want them to know that they will receive their school supplies, their bags, and their back-to-school packages as usual, as soon as we're ready to start in September. With regards to housing, Mr. Speaker, let me reach out to the few, and I stress on few people who are still awaiting proper housing. If you drive to Grand Fond, you'll believe there's no problem with housing. No problem at all. But you have one or two in between. Mr. Speaker, you probably saw them already. They have the land, which is very good. The land is theirs. So our work becomes even easier. So I am putting it at 3, at least, who are in dire need of housing. And we can try to see how we can build for them. Additionally, I am in the process of completing, of course, a list for finishing touches on their homes, because some people have tried to do work on their own. I applaud them for that as well. So we can try to give them a more decent home by just adding those finishing touches. So this I can hand over for you soon. Mr. Speaker, sports brings communities together. And we are well known for our sporting community. Now, boy, I know Mr. Honorable Lockhart is waiting to tell me something. Whilst we can boast about being the football capital of the East, no, I'll give some teams a little break. You blank watching me. We have the ability to outperform any team in any sport, be it rounders, volleyball, cricket, jig dominoes, even, Mr. Speaker. Just name it and we win it. So, Mr. Speaker, there was no hesitation, absolutely no hesitation in selecting the community of Grand Fond for a lighting project. I mean, it was plain. The lights are up, the council has signed the documents, the electricals have been tested, and we are with DOMLAC, who should be in Grand Fond anytime soon, maybe as I speak, for full connections. I pray for that day when that field will be lighted up. A well-deserved project. I thank the government. Government I'm proud to be a part of. I thank my Honorable Minister too for working with me on this. This has always been a challenge for us as a top football team, the Sagico Southeast football team, because those men couldn't practice as they pleased, Mr. Speaker. Most of them work in town. They come from their gardens, and it's already dark. The sun rises in the east, but it sets in the west. So darkness comes to us quickly. And there was a time I had to speak to them, and I didn't even know who I was speaking to because I couldn't see them. So if they had left and gone, I would not even have known. So, no, that just shows you how dark it is. So I'm happy now. The lights are up and everybody can see it. And as soon as Domlek can give us that opportunity, games will begin. And be careful, because now any team coming forward to play against them, they have to be well prepared. Honorable, what is his name again? Yes, Pinad. Watch it. I know the incentives. In Curacao. In Curacao. I have. I have. Mr. Speaker, we also have allocations for rehabilitation of hard courts. Yes, we have to examine the possibility of resurfacing some of them as well, because we have a few that have been reported to us, and we want to ensure that to let the games go on. Mr. Lockhart, I see you watching me and smiling, but we are going to try to see how well we can do that this year. Mr. Speaker, other areas where assistance will continue this year, of course, my summer school program is on. This is a way of keeping our students, both primary and secondary students, occupied during the long holidays. As the saying goes, Satan finds mischief things for idle hands to do. So we began this week and will engage them in fun activities, in sports, art and craft, talent days, public speaking activities, and many more, and will culminate with a field trip around the island. We did that last year. It was an enjoyable experience for all of them, and we intend to make this year even better. The Breakfast Club will continue at the school, of course, this time in a more structured manner when school reopens in September. I will continue to assist the schools, the church, and community activities, the councils, in whatever way possible. Of course, Mr. Speaker, or any teams continue to do well. I want to thank the Prime Minister again for the engagement of close to 200 interns under that program. Bear in mind, not all of them are under the beautification project. Some are within the private sector, some are school mentors, and just recently we had 5 of them appointed into the public service, and I want to give the government the honor. Praise for that. But Mr. Speaker, I want to commend those in the beautification team. Those who work especially on that Poncase, not Poncase, Cassibus Junction to Rosalie Road. Mr. Speaker, it's a joy for me to be driving home from work and seeing that completed work. Boy, we're talking about people can clean, our people can clean. I think it's just a thing in Dominicans. We are good. Oh man, you could eat from the ground. Mr. Speaker, let me thank the entire team, as well as our supervisors and team leaders, Jones, Carlos, Juanita, Teresa, and Gloria. Thanks to all my caretakers under the Yes We Care program and the NAP. Mr. Speaker, these people have become very special to me. I am passionate about the care of the elderly. I saw what my mother went through.
5 more minutes.
And I will finish, man. I almost there. I hope so. And then I know that to care for the elderly is a blessing in itself. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm trying my best with them to let them feel special. So we celebrate birthdays, we cook food here and there. I even bought scrubs for them so they can dress and go to work looking professionally, because you want them to remain to at least help the elderly. Ms. Joan Lawrence is the supervisor for this team, and I want to big her up and say special thank you to her now. Mr. Speaker, we have been telling people over and over again about our major transformative projects. that are at various stages of development, so they too cannot be caught off guard, so they can position themselves for the opportunities that will avail themselves to those projects. Mr. Speaker, I'm one that cannot wait for that airport. No place in Dominica is too far. I cannot wait for the airport because I know benefits will trickle all the way to Rosalie, all the way to the Rosalie Resort. Farmers will get things to sell. It will work. And Mr. Speaker, the cable car project, I'm to zoom into that for a few minutes because my constituents have gained employment there. Mr. Speaker, I have some young people, male as well as female, on that project. About 12 of them. Mr. Speaker, they love it there. They may love the money more because they are very well paid. They're not even troubling me. Sometimes I even get in a little more once in a while. But what I love about it is the fact that they tell me they are learning on the job training for them. So even when they leave, they can move on to do something else. Mr. Speaker, even one of my young ladies is operating one of the heavy equipment on the... No, man. I'm happy for them. I'm shivering under my little jacket there. I'm proud of them. And I know that good news travels fast, so I hope by saying that I won't get too many people coming to me to see if they can go there. But I want to thank Mr. Paul John Hope, Pablo, for bringing them on board and checking on them for me whilst he's working there. Mr. Speaker, I could go on because the budget is replete with opportunities for young people, for people in Dominica on a whole. But I know the main request for my constituents is the health center. That is all they're asking for. This is all we want. So, Mr. Speaker, I give them the assurance this 31st day of July, 2024, that this government will deliver and build a brand new state-of-the-art health center, just as was promised by the Honorable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, man. You see, all you taking time to clap and all you making those people say all you didn't want to clap. Mr. Speaker, on this note, I offer heartfelt thanks to all my constituency teams, group presidents and executives, my secretaries at the office, the staff at the Ministry of Culture, Youth, Sports and Community Development, Ms. Bell, my secretary, our permanent secretary, very hardworking young lady, Ms. Wyke, my dearest colleagues, thanks to you for your support over the year, and all those who in one way or another assist in helping to build that dynamic Dominica that we all envision. May God bless us all. Mr. Speaker, once again, I pledge my support for this year's budget. I thank you.
Your mic. Yes, Dr. Williams, Honorable Williams, you have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, I implore your permission to refer to my notes, please.
Permission granted. If you are not comfortable here, you could ask one of the members to move. So, for example, where Honorable Pinar is or the other seat next to him. Yeah, Dr. Williams, this there. Extreme right, yes. So your constituents will see you better. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Dr. Williams, proceed.
Thank you very much. I would first like to extend greetings to you, Mr. Speaker, at this first meeting of the second session of the 11th Parliament. I look forward to your usual meticulous approach to the proceedings of this House. I extend greetings to our Prime Minister, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, for his mentorship, guidance, and leadership, particularly for parliamentarians like myself who strive to improve our presentations each year. Our support, or his support, is invaluable as we represent our people as best as we can. Special greetings to the constituents of Casgori, La Plaine, La Ronde, La Franchette, Boetica, and the delightful village called Delis. Mr. Speaker, I wish to commend the Honorable Minister of Finance for his remarkable presentation, which certainly created an opportunity for insightful debate. Mr. Speaker, permit me to indicate to this Honorable House my staunch support of this 2024-2025 national budget, and to place on record that this support is to the complete budget estimates, which give a clear indication of the anticipation and positive prospects of the people of Dominica. Mr. Speaker, the budget estimates as provided form part of the continued legacy of a renowned leader with economic prowess who has been instrumental in sourcing the required resources to fulfill not just the vision this government holds for this country, but the expectations of every Dominican, and even more particularly those served by the ministry I represent. And I refer to the elderly, children, and youth at risk. But first, Mr. Speaker, I would like to present the Dominican people two aspects of the work of the Ministry of Health, Wellness, and Social Services. This I will do in support of the Honorable Minister of Health, Wellness, and Social Services, the Honorable Kasani Laville. When Honorable Laville presented a few days ago, he aptly provided a synopsis on the work of the ministry to improve the provision of health care and reduce health disparities for everyone. The first aspect I will touch on, which indeed pleases me to announce to the House, as the ceremony only took place on Tuesday morning, yesterday, is the launch of the Newborn Cardiology Screening Project, which is the only such project in the OACS. Yes, Mr. Speaker, good things are happening in health, and I think they should be highlighted. This came about through the generous partnership with the People's Republic of China, to whom we are extremely grateful. The cardiology services at the Dominica-China Friendship Hospital will be expanded with the introduction of the new service, which will transform cardiology care. Mr. Speaker, it means that the newborns, the neonates, within 5 days of their being born, will be screened for congenital heart defects. And this means that early interventions will be able to take place, thus saving lives and enhancing the overall lives of the children. As a precursor to this launch, 7 of our Dominican medical professionals spent 2 months in China being trained by some of the most distinguished experts in the field at the first affiliated hospital, Sun Yat-sen University, and our thanks to the doctors involved. The other aspect I wish to highlight, Mr. Speaker, is the profession at the cornerstone of our efforts, the heartbeat of any healthcare system, our nurses. They have always been the foot soldiers of healthcare. I'm sure you will agree. As part of the development of our human resource capacity, we cannot overlook the nurses. And more than ever, nurses are considered essential and vital to the sustainability and effectiveness of our healthcare system here in Dominica. The International Nurses Day theme this year, Our Nurses, Our Future, the Economic Power of Care, was timely and significant as we are acutely aware of the effects of economic downturns affecting countries globally and the critical role of healthcare in the general well-being of our people around the world and certainly here in Dominica. Mr. Speaker, the nursing service is the most extensive collection of professional human resources here in Dominica. The nursing workforce makes up approximately 52% of the overall healthcare workforce and has been tested in a variety of ways during the year in review, including responding to an aging population that has become more complex and with intense medical needs, childhood vaccine hesitancy, and a demand for more overall primary care capacity, among others. The total number of nursing personnel in primary health care as of May 22, 2024 stands at 139. The ministry is thrilled to highlight a few of the successes of our nursing contingent within the primary health care service. These successes can be attributed to the dedicated work of the nursing staff with support and guidance from the Dominican government. Mr. Speaker, as a result of the organizational review and reclassification within the public service, nurses received an increase in salaries. Nurses can testify that this increase is over $1,000. Mr. Speaker, this government has recognized that in order to maintain a productive workflow, facilitate career mobility and professional development opportunities, to improve and strengthen supervisory functions, and to make provisions for adequate incentives for the retention of nurses, it became necessary to do an overhaul and restructuring of the nursing service. We are in the final stages of doing just that. The proposed structure will include an increase in the number of nursing management positions. I was concerned, Mr. Speaker, when I heard that Dominicans did not have access to health. Very concerned, and I dare say that this is erroneous information. And I hope that speaking today about the nursing service, this will adequately debunk that which was said in the House. To complement the restructuring, Mr. Speaker, we are devoted to increasing the capacity of the nursing workforce. While we do acknowledge that nursing attrition is a serious issue, and we have and will continue to find solutions to retain our nurses, we cannot sit idly by and not do everything in our power to keep providing the services to our clients. We cannot turn a 70-year-old or a very pregnant mother away from a health center because there isn't a nurse to assist. Mr. Speaker, to put it bluntly, the show must and will go on. So in that respect, we have taken the following steps. Contractual engagement of 8 capable retired nurses who are midwives, 22 newly registered nurses, and 5 nursing assistants have gained employment in the nursing service and were deployed to the Dominica China Friendship Hospital and to primary health care. Approximately 20 registered nurses have been appointed to fill vacant positions, while approximately 81 nurses, including the matron, managers, midwives, registered nurses, and nursing assistants, are currently undergoing the process of permanent appointment and awaiting approval. 4 community health nurses completed training and are engaged in the respective area. Approximately 32 community health aides gained 1-year renewal of contracts, uniform allowance, and an increase in salary. 5 community health aides got approval for temporary appointment in vacant positions. The nurses from Cuba are currently participating in the favorable diplomatic relations initiative. Currently, 10 registered nurses and 2 registered nurse midwives from Cuba are providing nursing services for primary health care. Additionally, 5 Cuban individuals have recently arrived and have been assigned to the hospital. Mr. Speaker, it is satisfying and motivating to note the following progress in our ongoing efforts to enhance workforce capacity, meet nursing personnel targets, and achieve desired outcomes. In April 2024, 21 candidates were successful in the regional examination for nurse registration. 4 family nurse practitioners are on training in Jamaica and are due to return in the next few months. 9 student midwives are registered, or who are registered nurses, are due to complete studies in December of 2024. The recruitment process for nurses is ongoing. 12 registered nurses were recently interviewed for employment and are being processed for approval. Mr. Speaker, as I mentioned, our collaboration with the Republic of Cuba has, for the past 2 decades, provided us with the supplementary medical staff to further improve our provision of service. Over 400 medical professionals have been part of the Cuban Medical Brigade over the years, and just a month ago, we welcomed a cohort of 17 to the island. We continue to extend our gratitude for their sacrifice and service. If we are to be honest with ourselves, how many of us would leave our families behind to spend 3 years in service to others? Or how many of us would watch our significant other leave to do the same? And that is exactly what our counterparts have been doing. So again, I wish to offer my profound thanks to the government and people of the Republic of Cuba. Mr. Speaker, we are not blind to the challenges being faced by the nursing institution. There is no perfect system, and everything will never be all roses. But Mr. Speaker, the Dominican people can be assured that in order to alleviate some of the challenges, we are looking to improve leadership and management, build capacity, and improve policies where necessary. In that respect, it is our hope that with the passage of the nursing bill, some of the challenges can be addressed. The nursing bill, which will be presented in Parliament very soon, will serve to provide for the establishment and management of the Dominican Nursing Council, the registration, enrollment, and licensing of nurses, the regulation of the conduct and discipline of nurses, the prescription of qualifications, approval of standards and requirements for continued education, and training of nurses, among other matters. Mr. Speaker, I wish on behalf of all my colleagues in this honorable House to offer congratulations to our nurses and other healthcare providers who sometimes under trying circumstances get the work done. No expressions of gratitude are enough in recognizing their sterling efforts. Mr. Speaker, the nursing profession is one that provides care, nurturing, and social protection. My ministry, through the Department of Social Services and the Yes We Care program, which fall under my purview, does the same. This ministry proudly caters to the entire individual, offering a holistic approach to provisional care, from investments in infrastructure to investments in psychosocial support. Mr. Speaker, the ministry has crafted and implemented various strategic alliances with local, regional, and international partners and donors, inclusive of other government ministries and agencies, as well as the World Food Programme, United Nations Development Programme, UN Women, UNICEF, International Organization for Migration, among others. Mr. Speaker, under the exigencies of our ministry, our primary responsibilities are to implement and assist with a number of government social safety net programs to include the Yes We Care program, the Public Assistance Program, the Foster Care Program, the Centenarian Program, care of our juveniles who come into conflict with the law, the Yes We Care program. Mr. Speaker, while our society is moving at an accelerated pace and we are working toward development, there exists a silent crisis that goes unnoticed by many: the abandonment of elderly parents by their own children when they get older and are incapable of caring for themselves. Dominica has been able to boast a population that lives well beyond the 70. However, among our population, we encounter heart-rending incidences that highlight the disturbing trend where children achieve success and prosperity through the hard work and sacrifice of their parents, yet they neglect their duty to care for them. Mr. Speaker, through the empathetic and caring nature of our Prime Minister, Honorable Roosevelt Scarrett, Dominica boasts of a model program referred to as the Yes We Care program. The Yes We Care program is one of the most noble interventions among our social programs. This intervention provides daily home care, personal hygiene supplies, and a monthly supply of food to 159 beneficiaries across the island, and provides employment to 43 caregivers and 9 supervisors, along with the administrative staff complement. The program goes even further and facilitates the provision of medical care, electrical installation, home repairs, and the procurement of basic home amenities as required by the clients. But, Mr. Speaker, even more than the provision of supplies, the ministry recognizes the importance of ensuring that the psychosocial needs of our elderly population is also met. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, every year, the month of September is celebrated as Month of the Elderly. This affords us an opportunity alongside many of our civil society partners to celebrate our senior citizens and to ensure that they feel they are still valuable contributors to our society. In September of 2023, with the theme being, "We are older, not over," and to show our gratitude, the ministry embarked on a delivery of personal care items to each of our clients of the Yes We Care program. On these visits, I experienced the appreciation and love these elderly, housebound, disabled, and vulnerable people have for the caregivers, supervisors, the administrative staff of the Yes We Care program, and most notably for our dear Prime Minister, whom they spoke of so highly. This is a true testament of the effectiveness of our social protection program. Centenarians. Mr. Speaker, the Commonwealth of Dominica is privileged to still have with us 12 centenarians. This government ensures that each centenarian receives a monthly assistance of $500 in order to make their lives more comfortable. This government's further commitment to the centenarians is exhibited by a monthly visit by a social welfare officer, with the aim of ensuring that they are being treated with dignity and respect and they live in comfortable conditions. Special mention must be made, Mr. Speaker, of the commitment and dedication of our corporate partners, to include Petrocaribe, for the monthly contribution of free cooking gas given to each centenarian, and to Domlec and Dowasco for the supply of electricity and water at no cost to the centenarians. Mr. Speaker, it would be remiss of me not to mention the Ministry of Housing for addressing some of the housing and home repair needs of our centenarians in an effort to bring them comfort in their golden years. This speaks to the rewarding collaborations across ministries for the betterment of our people. Mr. Speaker, while we celebrate the elderly, we cannot ignore the needs of the younger generation, particularly those who cannot fend for themselves. Guided by the provision made under the Convention on the Rights of the Child, and more recently, the Children Can Adoption Act, number 12 of 2023, our government has made it a priority to protect the rights of our children. The Children Home for the Abused, Neglected, and Emotionally Scarred, also known as Chances, is the sole government-owned residential home providing residential care for children who have been abused, abandoned, neglected, and who are in need of care and protection. This institution has been in operation for over a decade and is currently the home to 31 residents, 11 boys and 20 girls, the youngest being 3 months and the oldest 17 years. Chances creates and emphasizes an environment where every child feels valued and supported. The unparalleled reward lies in witnessing the transformation of the children's lives. For instance, at the end of the academic year 2023-2024, one resident graduated from secondary school, 2 sat the grade 6 national assessment exams and will be moving on to secondary school. 2 of the teenagers who were having difficulty academically are enrolled in a skills training program. This is evidence that Chances provides them with an opportunity to not be a statistic, but an exception. This government is instrumental and steadfast in ensuring the positive achievements of the residents. Mr. Speaker, the government would also like to commend the collaboration and backing of corporate citizens and also other institutions which have supported the Chances over the past financial year. Special mention is made of the following: Fine Foods Inc., La Bea Beauty Salon, the Palette, Ma Boyd's Bar, the Be More Foundation, Division of Culture, Youth Development Division, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and Salt Ministries. It is also worth noting the prompt medical care given to the residents, both at the Maho Health Center and the Dominica China Friendship Hospital. The management and staff of Chances must be celebrated for providing a caring, nurturing, and loving environment, a model home so that the residents are able to reach their full potential. Mr. Speaker, in the last financial year, the Department of Social Services underwent essential reformation where the establishment of various specialized units came into being. To begin with, the division was renamed from the Social Welfare Division to the Department of Social Services in order to embrace the full gambit of services being offered, namely social services, Bureau of Gender Affairs, and Chances. The social services arm of the department is now configured in 4 specialized units, namely Social Welfare Services Unit, Provision Unit, Child Protection Unit, and the Counseling Unit. Through the restructuring, a database officer was added and a communications officer was engaged to complement the department's staff. Mr. Speaker, throughout this financial year, there was a clear focus on raising public awareness and public sensitization campaigns with specific focus on education to health practitioners, the police, and the legal fraternity on the newly enacted OECS family model laws. Mr. Speaker, the following units and program areas are the flagships of the Department of Social Services, and we continually assess and evaluate their effectiveness in order to ensure that we provide for those being served. The General Welfare or Public Assistance Program. The objective of the Public Assistance Program is to provide for the basic needs of indigent households. Currently, there are over 1,700 individuals who receive public assistance. Mr. Speaker, during the fiscal year 2023-2024, a total of 6.2 million was paid to beneficiaries. Mr. Speaker, I wish to thank the Honorable Prime Minister for his commitment to allocating funds to continue providing public assistance allowances. Additionally, the ministry collaborates with the Ministry of Finance, which has the responsibility for administering the government's non-pensionable assistance contributions to persons who are above the age of 65. This collaboration has brought into focus the constant review of the public assistance program to eliminate beneficiary duplication under both social protection programs. Sponsored homes. The government continues to provide annual subventions totaling over $1 million Eastern Caribbean dollars for 9 institutions which provide accommodation for the elderly, children in need of care and protection, and persons with disabilities. In addition, the ministry, particularly the Department of Social Services, is seeking to develop and establish standards on the care of elderly persons, both at an institutional level and also at home-based levels. The probation unit. Mr. Speaker, the probation unit has been staffed with a very capable contingent of probation officers and is now better able to execute its functions. I wish to highlight the unit's work on its national youth initiative titled the Wrap Around Program, or WAP, for juveniles. This program aims at promoting effective strategies to include prevention, diversion, rehabilitation, and reintegration of juveniles between the ages of 12 and 18 years who display antisocial behavior. It also works to engage parents in the development of effective parenting skills and to engage the schools and communities in developing a better understanding of juveniles while promoting early intervention and prevention strategies. The program was recently piloted at the Dominica Grammar School with a total of 44 completing the program. Thematic areas included the value of education, stress management, cultural awareness and sensitivity, among others, and were facilitated by experts in the relevant fields. By all accounts, including that of the students and the partner agency, IOM, the program was a resounding success. The Child Protection Unit. Mr. Speaker, while the probation unit works with youth at risk who may contravene the law, the Child Protection Unit works to protect those at risk of being violated in one way or another. The issue of child abuse in Dominica has become a matter of national concern. While we focus on medical pandemics, sadly, social pandemics continue to thrive. The year in review has seen an increase in reported cases of neglect, with a slight decrease in child sexual abuse. The abuse and neglect of boys and girls are very alarming. 74% of the total reported cases are young girls between the ages of 10 and 17 years. And one should be mindful that the statistics are based on the cases reported. Thus, it is expected that many still go unreported and undocumented. And this is very disconcerting. Yes, the Department of Social Services will continue to fulfill its mandate in protecting the children. But, Mr. Speaker, permit me to make this plea to all who can hear me. It is everyone's responsibility to protect the children. If you know something is happening and you fail to take action, then you become part of the problem. We cannot continue to wash our hands like Pontius Pilate. We cannot wash our hands of the responsibility and expect change. Mr. Speaker, to address the maltreatment of children, several measures were undertaken by the department, which focus on intervention, investigation, rehabilitation through counseling services, and actions geared towards prevention. The legislative framework has been improved with the passage of the Children Care and Adoption Act. Island-wide engagement was initiated to discuss the matter of child care and protection to obtain recommendations for the development of a strategy. Consultations were held with health practitioners in 5 of the 7 health districts. A number of recommendations were obtained and will be implemented. The department will also embark on a project dubbed Strengthening Household Resilience, using family workshops to combat gender-based violence, child abuse, and neglect. Now to take a look at the Bureau of Gender Affairs. Mr. Speaker, the Bureau of Gender Affairs plays a vital role in achieving significant milestones in addressing gender-based violence through prevention, strengthening legislative and support systems, and empowering women economically. We are now only 6 years away from the Sustainable Development Goal Agenda 2030, and it is critical to the achievement of all the SDGs to focus on gender. I will now speak about the significant work being done to specifically address the SDG targets, which advocate ending all violence against vulnerable groups. In April last year, Parliament passed the Domestic Violence Act as part of a suite of family laws. This meant that our ministry, through the Bureau of Gender Affairs, had to work earnestly to increase awareness of the Act and its benefits for survivors of domestic violence. At this point, I would like to make yet another plea. Gender-based violence is not only perpetuated by men. The preconceived notion that only women and girls can fall prey to this should be dispelled. As a society and as a culture, we need to be rid of the thought that men cannot be victims and encourage our men and boys to come forward and stop perpetuating the idea that reporting domestic violence is a sign of weakness. Men, come forward. You have our support. Mr. Speaker, within the last financial year, we have made the following investments to address domestic violence. We have added 2 permanent positions of social workers to the organizational structure of the Bureau of Gender Affairs. These social workers provide psychosocial support to clients of domestic violence, female-headed households in dysfunctional situations, and men who need support. With the passing of the Domestic Violence Act, we continue to train police officers and frontline service providers on the Act. Thus far, we have trained 6 frontline service provider organizations, including the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force, the Department of Social Services, and non-governmental organizations such as the Dominica National Council of Women, Up to 200 students have been sensitized on gender-based violence, the law, and other key issues like consent and sexual harassment. With the support of CUSO International, the ministry was able to translate the family laws, including the Domestic Violence Act, into simpler language. This ensures that the public can comprehend their rights, victims are aware of their protections, and Dominicans can recognize the benefits of the law. Through the Engender Project, supported by UN Women, there have been significant prevention efforts, primarily through advocacy. We successfully finalized the project component during the financial year. Achievements included increased visibility of the Bureau of Gender Affairs through unique, engaging activities such as family fun days in the communities of Marigot and the Kalinago territory. Additionally, we developed domestic violence products, including an audio docu-series and songs which will be utilized in the upcoming months. In furtherance of our goals, in October 2023, with support from UNDP under the Engender Project, the Bureau of Gender Affairs hosted a training session for NGOs on gender, gender-based violence, project management, and resource mobilization. About 20 organizations benefited from the training. The main objective was to increase the capacity of these NGOs to contribute to work on gender and gender-based violence, and to enhance collaboration between our ministry and these organizations. This will undoubtedly make our work more impactful and strategic. To complement this training with support from CCDEM, we were able to host a gender sensitivity communication training to promote gender equality in communication, which aimed to raise awareness about the importance of inclusive and respectful language in media, advertising, and everyday communication. Participants learned about the impact of gender stereotypes and biases on social perceptions and behavior. 25 individuals participated in the workshop, representing various sectors and organizations. Attendees included representatives from prominent media houses such as DBS and Kyrie FM and Vibes Radio, non-governmental organizations such as the Dominican National Council of Women and the East Dominica Children's Federation, as well as officials from several government ministries. Mr. Speaker, in its drive to foster a spirit of empowerment, independence, and sustainability, in March 2024, the Bureau hosted an Empower Her Exchange Hub in Rosalie, which linked women within the communities of La Plaine, Grand Fond, Dalis, and Good Hope with financial and business support organization representatives. Bringing these financial institutions and support and other support services into this rural space gave these women the opportunity to increase their capacities to enhance their livelihoods. The Bureau of Gender Affairs will continue to provide the necessary support to small women-owned businesses through training and provision of equipment and tools. In the upcoming financial year, the Bureau will continue its routine activities, including raising awareness, celebrating observances like International Women's and Men's Day, and resource mobilization for key social protection and gender initiatives. Mr. Speaker, while I am pleased to report on the undertakings of our ministry, it gives me even greater pleasure to speak in support of what the government, under the astute leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister, has embarked upon. As every member on this side of this Honorable House stands in support of this year's budget and the suite of family projects mentioned therein, I cannot help but be proud of a team who works hard for the country of this for the people of this country. A team who stands in support of this pragmatic budget laced with clear and good intentions for all citizens, their lives, and their livelihoods. Mr. Speaker, what I see in this budget, as presented by the Honorable Minister of Finance, are intentions to grow the economy, create jobs, build resilience, ensure food security, and certainly pursue a sustainable future. And just to say, Mr. Speaker, I deeply believe that every reasonable thinking Dominican understands these intentions of government. Dominicans know those who want to keep fighting for their progress. And Mr. Speaker, Dominicans also know those who are constantly trying to set us back. And this is why, Mr. Speaker, the Dominican electorate has repeatedly given to this Labour government the mandate to manage their affairs.
20 more
And
minutes.
Mr. Speaker, pardon, sir?
20 more minutes.
Yes, we need 10 more minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Honorable Minister Williams be given an additional 10 minutes.
Thank you.
It has been
colleagues.
moved. No.
I'm sorry.
We have to make the decision. Members could say no, you know.
That's true.
So it has been moved and seconded that the Honorable Minister be given an additional 10 minutes. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. So yes, you are given 10 minutes additional.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I realize it's lunchtime, but I will continue to speak. I won't be that long. Mr. Speaker, the people of the La Plaine constituency, understanding the need for sound leadership and firm representation, will support the Dominica Labour Party and its aspirations for their development. Despite the many global or local challenges which assail us as a country, this government has done right by its people. The only ones who do not believe this are a few fragmented and misguided politicians who wish they were on the other side of this honorable house, but are not prepared to be. Mr. Speaker, kindly allow me the privilege just to touch on the many major projects undertaken by this government and how these projects will translate to improved livelihoods for the people of La Plaine, Dalis, and Buetica. Mr. Speaker, I was so delighted to share with my 6-year-old nephew that by the time he turns 10 to 11 years old, Dominica will boast of an international airport. He had just returned from a trip to the Now airport and was so excited. And I had to explain to him what is to come. Building an international airport, Mr. Speaker, is a transformative initiative with far-reaching benefits for the island's economy, connectivity, and overall development. While the airport is being built in my esteemed colleague's constituency, that does not mean that my own constituents won't reap the benefits as well. The creation of job opportunities would extend far beyond Wesley and environs, and I am certain to my own constituents. I do not wish to go into details of every benefit of this construction, because the true experts have already spoken. Minister of Tourism, Minister of Public Works, Honorable Henderson, they have all spoken of the benefits, and so I won't elaborate any further. But I'll speak a little about road rehabilitation. Mr. Speaker, most major roads and bridges across the country have been rehabilitated and upgraded since Hurricane Maria. This has greatly improved connectivity and ensured the safe and efficient movement of people and goods. We look forward to improved access to the La Plaine constituency, particularly when the Delis Petite Savanne crossing is completed. Now you know why I wanted to speak a little on that. Mr. Speaker, 19 months ago, at my launching as a candidate for the La Plaine constituency, a promise was made that this link road, this crossing, would become a reality. Much to the delight of the La Plaine, Botica, and Delis people, work began in June of this year. Mr. Speaker, this means increased business opportunities, shorter commuting time to Roseau, which favors farmers delivering fresh produce to markets, and greater social interactions with our neighbors in the south. But, Mr. Speaker, a noteworthy benefit we must highlight from this undertaking is the increased access to our majestic Victoria Falls, the White River, Sari Sari Falls, and the Glassy Pool in my constituency. It is my firm belief that this intervention will greatly enhance community tourism, a key component of our constituency strategic plan. Mr. Speaker, let me thank the Honorable Prime Minister on behalf of my constituents and those of the Petite Savanne constituency for making this a reality. And I also have to thank my dear Honorable Defoe. Who could ask for a better help, a better neighbor than Mr. Defoe? Now, Mr. Speaker, the naysayers and prophets of doom are searching for another project to latch on to in their quest to destabilize and divert the attention from positive action happening in the constituency. It is true that there has been a delay in the works due to some malfunctioning of the machinery, but we expect that by Monday, God willing, work will continue. Soon, I prefer to say soon. Mr. Speaker, I will not be deterred in the quest to develop my people. And they know it is foremost in my mind. It is a preoccupation that consumes me every day. Mr. Speaker, on the ground, we combine efforts to deal with the myriad of needs, which include advocating for infrastructure projects, health and social services issues, education matters, areas of farming and agriculture, sports, and small business interventions, among others, that benefit the local communities of La Plaine, Botica, and Delis. Mr. Speaker, in 2023-2024 financial year, we in the constituency accomplished the following. Small business. 20 entrepreneurs and small agro-processors were exposed to small business fundamentals to grow their businesses and build capacity in using ICT tools. This year, we propose to train a further 20 young people in agro-processing, and already a small number has been earmarked to visit China in this regard. We are already preparing for new entrepreneurship training opportunities from last financial year. This will support local entrepreneurs and small business owners in expanding their businesses. Where possible, Mr. Speaker, we will pursue microfinancing options and grants for startups and small businesses. In agriculture, Mr. Speaker, the interest in agriculture among the youth of the constituency must be prioritized, and as such, we have initiated, with the support from the Ministry of Agriculture, the engagement of a number of young farmers in greenhouse technology. In the first quarter of the fiscal year, we will train 20 young people in greenhouse production. And after listening to the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, there are exciting times ahead. I must report, Mr. Speaker, that already 200 feet greenhouses have been made available for that purpose. This initiative will be supported by the Chinese Agricultural Mission at 1 Mile, Portsmouth, who will host a visit by these young people, these young farmers. Mr. Speaker, the plan is to initiate programs in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture and its Extension Service to empower young farmers in other areas of training in new and innovative farming techniques. By investing in sustainable agriculture among these young people, Mr. Speaker, we aim to boost productivity, expand agricultural enterprises, and ensure food security. Together, we will establish a program to introduce 40 young people in modern farming techniques in greenhouse production. Yes. Also, Mr. Speaker, some of our young farmers and agro-processors will attend the upcoming Youth in Agriculture Symposium, thus increasing their exposure to advocacy, governance, and development in regional youth agriculture. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to train and build the capacity of all our farmers in best practices for improved productivity at the farm level. This includes training in the tree crop production, overall crop management, and expanded markets. Mr. Speaker, over 200 farmers have benefited so far, and recently a number of farmers received over 2,000 tissue culture plantain plants. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to pursue other possibilities such as agricultural entrepreneurship, especially agro-processing, with facilities to process local agricultural products, adding value and opening new markets. Under the auspices of the Health, Education, Agriculture with Love program, or HEAL, in Dalis, we have pursued agriculture to showcase what is now known as the leading primary school garden program in Dominica. The intention, Mr. Speaker, is to totally replace the average $2,600 paid by central government in meeting the cost of feeding the children on a monthly basis. This year, Mr. Speaker, we will go beyond the model school garden program to involve the wider community in vegetable backyard gardening, enhance the capacity of women in agriculture, and provide fruit tree crop varieties to homes. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, HAIL is truly powered by communities. Sports development. Mr. Speaker, sports development is another of the key pillars to receive further attention this financial year. So far, we have seen the transformation of the La Plaine playing field and have now attained the standards for national football games by DFA. The lighting of the field due to my intervention can now accommodate night matches. Thank you. Well, Mr. Speaker, you heard Honorable Greta Roberts with my good news on the Dalis playing field. Works to be undertaken include resurfacing and grassing of the outfield, building of stands and locker rooms, and installation of lights, as promised by the Honorable Prime Minister. Upon completion, Mr. Speaker, this playing field will be fully functional and ready for different sporting activities, sporting disciplines. So, Mr. Speaker, things are happening in my constituency. The La Plaine basketball hard court is being refurbished presently. While I spoke about it yesterday in the evening, listening to Teacher Bonnie, the Honorable Minister of Education, the lighting of the hard court was being implemented. Somebody messaged me while I sat there and showed me pictures of what was going on. That happened last night. I give Oscar George, and Honorable Greta Roberts for their support. Mr. Speaker, rims of international standards are expected soon. And in short time, we will see the commencement of basketball, including night games. Perhaps the contractor is tired of my frequent requests for updates, but we are grateful for his work. Mr. Speaker, I will let you know, though, that there were some who tried to hinder progress in sports development in my community. Can you imagine that a legal document was sent to the contractor? Yes, it is true. But, Mr. Speaker, we will continue full speed ahead. This did not deter us. We will not stop here. Sports in the constituency will be managed inclusively, with no one entity or body dominating the use of facilities, and certainly no one sports discipline will dominate to the exclusion of others. We will pursue a multi-stakeholder community sports committee that is current and suited for today's sports development realities and needs. Mr. Speaker, the Sports Committee will pursue a comprehensive program to include community sports leagues, to expand and support local sports leagues, including cricket, football, basketball, and others, to encourage youth participation and talent development. Rounders too. Inclusive sports to enhance sports governance and management of sports throughout the constituency to ensure sports facilities are accessible to people of all abilities and provide programs that encourage diverse groups and diverse sporting disciplines. Digital transformation. Presently, Mr. Speaker, by way of information to members of this Honorable House, we continue to enjoy the Digital Center, or Hub as it is called, situated at the Jones Beaupere Primary School. This hub has inspired increased training for young people and others at the community level and has become of great value. It has become also a great venue for meetings, especially where ICT presentation tools are required. Mr. Speaker, just to say as well that in La Plaine there is a substantial free Wi-Fi coverage over a large portion of the community. And we look forward to this coverage being extended further to include areas of Boutica and Dalis. Health, wellness, and safe environment. Mr. Speaker, health, wellness, and safe environments is another key pillar for constituency development. In the past year, Mr. Speaker, we have taken a number of initiatives to include a children's health clinic in keeping with my pediatric specialty. This we expanded beyond the constituency to include neighboring villages. Mr. Speaker, home visits with Dominica's first native cardiologist, Dr. Andrew, were undertaken, and a number of homebound patients were checked. Imagine having a specialist, a cardiologist, go into the homes of the homebound and less fortunate and providing them with specialty services like echocardiography and EKGs and having these results interpreted right there with the cardiologist. We will continue in this financial year as common practice, since ensuring the health and well-being of the people is my priority. Resilient housing. Mr. Speaker, in this financial year, the housing needs of the most vulnerable families will not be ignored. I listened attentively as Minister of Housing spoke of what she intends to do, and I hope to tap into that valuable resource. Mr. Speaker, the installation of solar lights to ensure safer spaces for the people of the community, the people of my constituency, is also a priority. A number of these solar lights have already been procured to be installed in strategic locations throughout the communities. Tourism development. Mr. Speaker, the La Plaine constituency boasts a number of well-known sites, and you heard me mention it earlier, White River, Sari Sari. I might have to translate that, so I'll say White River. Oh, it's okay? All right, Livia Blanc then, and also Glassy Pool. We have already started exploratory work with the Hotel and Tourism Association to strategize in maximizing tourism benefits from these places. Support for the elderly will continue in my constituency, and I want to thank the Yes We Care program and the NEP caregivers for providing much needed support to our elderly. Mr. Speaker, we will promote intergenerational programs that encourage interaction and learning between seniors and youth. This is necessary for better socializing of our youth and seniors. Mr. Speaker, I look forward to the building of a multi-purpose resource center. This was a promise made, and I believe it will be a promise kept. So in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, our journey of development continues. The country remains blessed with a Labour Party government that understands development imperatives and pursues them to benefit the people of this country. In conclusion, I wish to express profound gratitude for the unwavering support of the constituency of La Plaine, including the more than 162 NEP employees and their supervisors who continue to do their best despite challenges. I assure you, constituents, that good things are on the horizon for our constituency. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Finance started his presentation with a verse from the Holy Scriptures, and I wish to repeat it, but using the KJV, the King James Version. Yes, KJV. It says, "Fear not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will hold thee," or I will help thee. "Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness." I echo these words as a reminder that God is with us and his plans for Dominica are good ones. Once again, I wish to pledge my support for the 2024-2025 budget proposal. May God bless us all.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this Honorable House be suspended until 3 p.m. this afternoon.
It has been moved and seconded that the House be suspended until 3 p.m. this afternoon. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. House stands suspended until 3 p.m. this afternoon.